I have a planetary system. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301, Crisis Resolved. Finally, Liang Ting remembered the mission, after being reminded by the World Channel. She was so busy watching the show that she forgot about the business. Liang Ting went forward and asked Long Kui, Sister Long Kui, there is a corpse gas released by a late-stage god in this area. Can you deal with it? Long Kui then let go of her hands holding Yi Jian, blushed and looked in the direction of the fall, felt a large amount of corpse gas in the sky, and nodded. Okay. Liang Ting was overjoyed. Great, let's get rid of these corpse gas quickly, otherwise the creatures in this area will suffer. Long Kui said, I feel very familiar with this area, as if I have lived here for a long time. Beihu said, your dragon energy has been hovering over this area, of course it is familiar. Yi Jian also knew that now was not the time for love affairs. The current business was to deal with the corpse gas in the Qingfeng area, and the second was to explain that he was not touching her. Long Kui was about to use her elm strength to go to the direction of the corpse gas, but suddenly found that her elm soared, and she was at a loss for a moment. Why is my realm so high? Yi Jian smiled and said, you are now in the late stage of Shengming. You can beat up Beihu at will. No creature can bully you in the future. Beihu? A space crack appeared with Long Kui's thoughts. He hesitated at the entrance of the space crack, not knowing whether to enter. Liang Ting couldn't wait any longer. The system prompted that the crisis would break out in less than 5 minutes. If she hesitated any longer, she would be in trouble. She pushed Long Kui indirectly, and then she stepped into the space crack. Yi Jian and other players followed without saying a word. The next moment, she appeared in the place where she was killed before. Long Kui looked at the dense corpse gas trapped by 6 corpses in the sky and was still struggling with how to solve it. Although she subconsciously thought that it could be solved, she was not used to it when she really had to do it. It was like learning to cook on the internet. The eyes and brain knew it, but the hands were expressing doubts. Beihu saw that Liang Qi was not adapting and said, with your elm, as long as you think in your heart, your ability will follow your thoughts. You are not adapted to your realm now, so let the realm teach you what to do. Liang Qi felt that Beihu was talking nonsense, but she was embarrassed to refute. After all, her temperament was so simple. She was thinking about solving the corpse gas in the sky. The next moment, the sky was full of thunder, which frightened the 6 corpse clan members. For them, the corpse clan creatures, fire and lightning, are the most threatening to them. This creature appeared inconspicuously, but they didn't expect that they would be frightened as soon as he made a move. He didn't emit any threat when he appeared before. The powerful thunder spell not only scared the 6 corpse clan members, but even Beihu was shocked by this violent energy and hurriedly taught, don't use so much force. Your thunder spell will kill all the creatures except me. Liang Qi blushed and silently said in her heart, don't use so much, a little smaller, a little smaller. The thunder and lightning in the sky gradually weakened. Yi Jian looked at Ji Yuli, who was already exhausted, and asked Beihu, Senior Beihu, do you have any way to save the 2 corpses? They saved me and did me a favor. Beihu didn't have a good impression of Yi Jian. He just said that King Lang could beat him up at will, but for King Lang's sake, Beihu had to answer, give them the corpse energy in the sky, maybe they can survive. Long Kui also heard Beihu's words and remembered that Ji Yuli was in this state because he saved her. She also wanted to save them in her heart. Several fine lightning appeared around the trapped corpse energy. With Long Kui's thoughts, the corpse energy was transferred in groups and floated towards Ji Yuli. The other 6 corpse seats breathed a sigh of relief, put away the corpse energy, and showed a tired look. The corpse energy released before appeared above Ji Yuli, and Long Kui guided the groups of corpse energy to float down to the 2 corpse seats that fell to the ground. The corpse gas gradually submerged the 2 creatures. The players present received a system prompt indicating that the crisis was resolved, and they all showed a relieved expression. Although they would not die, if the creatures in the Qingfeng area were to suffer, they would be deeply sinful. However, the one who should be the most sinful should be Baihu. He released the corpse gas in front of him. We are doing good deeds for Baihu. Although Ji Yuli was still seriously injured, he knew that he was alive. Long Kui saw that the corpse gas in the sky was completely eliminated, turned around and asked Yi Jian with a smile, "Brother Jiangxing, am I powerful?" Yi Jian looked at Long Kui, whose temper was still the same as before, and smiled. "Powerful? You are much more powerful than me now." Long Kui smiled proudly. "Then I can protect Brother Jiangxing in the future." Liang Ting and the players around her were full of dog food, and they were very jealous for a while. Damn it, it turns out that only those who are aloof can have romantic relationships. I'm like this, and so is Jiangxing. Jiangxing is still a little handsome. I don't care about me. He is bald. Not every woman is as blind as Zyra. One kissed Zyra forcefully, and the other touched Long Kui. What the hell? I will learn from them when I go offline tonight. I don't believe that I can't find a girlfriend with my appearance as Wu Killing from Hiludeo. I think he can be punished. At this time, a space crack suddenly appeared in the Qingfeng area, and Lu Dongbin stepped out of the crack, smiling and looking at Yi Jian and Long Kui. Baihu hurriedly saluted Lu Dongbin, and several seats of the corpse clan felt pressured and dared not move without permission. No mistakes. One song, one post, one content, one book, one forum, 1619, one book, one forum, one look. Lu Dongbin smiled and said to Baihu, "Dao Ao Baihu, thank you for your hard work on this trip. My apprentice has troubled you." Baihu was surprised that this annoying human was actually the apprentice of Chunayang Sword Immortal. Their personalities are completely different. The painting styles are completely different. Okay. However, what he said was against his will. Chunayang Sword Immortal is too polite. He is very talented, and I'm optimistic about him. Players, haha. Lu Dongbin turned his head and looked at the nervous corpse creatures. Thank you all for this time. I owe you a favor. After the death of the former, he became the strongest person in the corpse clan and hurriedly said, "I dare not." Before Lu Dongbin could finish his words, a shoe suddenly hit his head. Lu Dongbin smiled and held the shoe, looking at his apprentice. "Do you want to go into seclusion?" Yi Jian was not at all insincere. "Old man, if it weren't for you this time, Jizai wouldn't have died. Lang He wouldn't have almost died." Baihu and the corpse clan were shocked by the behavior of Lu Dongbin's apprentice. He said this to his master. The human race is so brave! Lu Dongbin ignored Yi Jian and appeared in front of Long Kui silently. Long Kui saluted with a red face. "Senior." Lu Dongbin lifted Long Kui up. "Your elm is the same as mine now. I can't be considered your senior." Long Kui looked at Yi Jian shyly, not knowing how to answer. Lu Dongbin smiled and said, "But if you are my disciple's wife, you can call me master." Long Kui lowered her head even more shyly, but still murmured in a low voice, "Master." At this time, the second shoe attacked Lu Dongbin. Lu Dongbin slapped the shoe and directly picked up Yi Jian. He said to Long Kui, "You come with me." Then he turned around and summoned the space-time rift and stepped into it. Lu Dongbin, Yi Jian and Long Kui disappeared in the Qingfeng area. Yi Jian's voice could be faintly heard from the cracks in time and space. "Old man, put me down. I tell you, I'm not afraid of you. Believe it or not, I will set fire to you when you are in seclusion. Don't be like this. Give me some face." Long Kui is watching. The players, Baihu and several corpses were speechless. As expected, guys with girlfriends are very brave. Chapter 302, National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival Event Preview. During this period, Bai Bing received a reminder from Henny Bai that there were many strangers monitoring her near her home. Bai Bing knew that Zhang Yi had sent someone to watch her. In fact, she could understand that it was a bit strange that she had told him a story for no reason. Knowing that the other party had no ill intentions, she did not pay much attention to it. As long as it did not disturb her daily life, she would just watch it. Anyway, there was nothing shameful. With Henny Bai around, there would be no listening devices or monitors in her home. Bai Bing also believed that the other party would not be so shameless. Looking at the date on the calendar, there was still a week before the National Day and the Mid-Autumn Festival. This year's Mid-Autumn Festival and the National Day happened to be connected. This year, the holidays for the two festivals added up to 8 days. Bai Bing temporarily put his mind on the event. As the main server, Huaxia would not hold an event on such an important festival. After thinking for a whole day, he chose from various event types and finally issued an announcement. Event preview, The Last Carnival. Event start time: 8 AM on October 1st to 12 PM on October 8th. Activity content: October 1st, Flag Battle, starting at 8 AM and ending at 8 PM. All servers are limited to 1 million players teleported to a public area. The realm of participating players is limited to 1 level, Novice period. Fight for the 7 flags of red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue and purple. The more flags you capture, the more points you get. Each flag captured by any server player will be announced, and a half-hour snatching period will be given. Within half an hour, all server players can snatch it. After the half-hour limit, the server that finally gets it will get the final points for this flag. Red, 1 point. Orange, 2 points. Yellow, 3 points. Green, 4 points. Cyan, 5 points. Blue, 10 points. Purple, 20 points. Players who do not participate in the event can watch it through the official live broadcast room. During this period, they can gamble on their favorite servers with soul points. The level of all players on the winning server will be upgraded by 1 level. October 2nd, Trash Bombing, starting at 8 AM and ending at 8 PM. All server players can fill in keywords by themselves. Players from other servers will be eliminated if they send content involving related keywords on the cross-server channel. It costs 10 soul points to send a message across servers. The level of all players on the server with the most remaining players will be increased by 1 level. October 3rd, Terra Value Collector, starting from 8 AM to 8 PM. All server players will be randomly teleported to various regions of the Chinese server, and players on all servers, including their own servers, will be intimidated to obtain corresponding Terra points. Players can choose the horror image in their minds and pay 100 soul points. The system will complete your transformation. During this period, the player's ID will be blocked. Please don't be a human. The top 100,000 players in the server who get the most Terra points will be increased by 1 level. October 4th, Food Test, starting from 8 AM to 8 PM. All server players will be randomly teleported to various regions of the Chinese server. Chinese server players can set up stalls to sell food at any location. Each serving of food costs 100 soul points, and the system and players will split the account 55 to 50. Players on other servers need to accurately say the name of the food when they buy a food to taste. If they guess wrong, they will get 1000 soul points, which will be paid by the stall players. The system is not responsible. If you guess wrong, you will try again. There is no reward for this activity. October 5th, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, right, starting at 8 AM and ending at 8 PM. All players will be randomly transferred to different regions of the Chinese server for single-player gunfights. The system will mask the player ID, and the chat channel will not be available until the player is killed and recovered. During this period, players will lose all professional skills and reset to ordinary people's attributes. Don't worry, you can afford the equipment. Each player can carry 2 hot weapons, 1 pistol, 200 rounds of general ammunition, 1 cold weapon, 3 medical kits, restore to the upper limit of 80% of the blood volume, 10 bandages, restore 5% of the blood volume, 5 bottles of drinks, obtain 35% slow blood recovery, 3 bottles of painkillers, obtain 70% slow blood recovery, 3 grenades, 3 smoke bombs, 3 flash bombs, and 3 Molotov cocktails. After killing a player, you can replenish equipment from the opponent's corpse. During the event, bulletproof vests, bulletproof helmets, and airdrops will be randomly refreshed. Killing a player will gain 500 soul points, and the killed player will lose 1000 soul points. October 6th, Men's and Women's Fighting Competition, starting at 8 AM and ending at 8 PM. All male and female players in the server will be teleported to the public area for a one-on-one confrontation. The winning player will receive 500 soul points, and the losing player will lose 1000 soul points. Some game NPCs can participate. October 7th, men's and women's team competition, starting at 8 AM and ending at 8 PM. All players in the server will randomly match a teammate of the opposite sex and teleport to the public area for a 2-on-2 confrontation. The winning player will receive 500 soul points, and the losing player will lose 1000 soul points. Some game NPCs can participate. October 8th, Chasing the Moon, Mid-Autumn Festival. Fighting and killing is not good. Let's do something harmonious. The event is confidential, so stay tuned. As soon as the announcement was made, the cross-server channels went crazy, and the official forum was flooded with posts. This event is full of middlemen making a profit. If the damn official was in the Ming dynasty, it would have collapsed without waiting for the Qing dynasty to attack. Wow, Hez Hen would have called him an expert after seeing this. But this event is really good. I originally thought that if I didn't spend money, I wouldn't have to be a leak, but now I find that I was naive. What's the meaning of the last day's event? You also know that fighting and killing are not good, right? Woo Yiko. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. Take a look. Wow, my girlfriend asked me to fly to her during the holiday and said she would show me black silk stockings. Should I go or not? Forget about other activities. What the hell is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds? As soon as Bai Bing's announcement was issued, his phone received messages from many people. Peng Cheng, we are not listed. You are organizing such a fancy event. What should we do for future holidays? Huang Yiwei, you are not going to let me have a holiday, right? Yang Yifei, good guy. I was planning to ask you out on holiday. It seems that you are probably not free. Pan Hong, come on. Lin Lin, remember to eat. Workaholic. Liang Xin, will you accept advertising placement during the event? Friends who knew that he was the boss of the Black and White Company sent messages to greet him, and Bai Bing replied one by one. He stretched himself. This should be the last event before the invasion of the Void and the Abyss. Let the players have a thorough carnival. Zhang Yi of the military region always pays attention to Bai Bing's dynamics. After receiving the feedback from his subordinates, Zhang Yi smiled. At this time, he still had the mind to come up with so many interesting activities. It seems that he was worrying too much. Chapter 303, Scene Design. In the next week, Liang Ting, as the commander of the Chinese server, will screen the players of the Chinese server almost every day. The server of the flag battle on the first day of the event is limited to 1 million players. On average, only a little more than 140,000 players can participate in each of the 7 servers. What makes Liang Ting speechless is whether it is really limited to each server to have 140,000 people, but first come first served. For example, if the Chinese server has registered 200,000 players first, then the other 6 servers can only compete for the remaining 800,000 participants. The event reward is that all the players who participate in the event on the winning server will have their levels increased by 1. Liang Ting certainly can't let some players pass the registration, such as the players who go online in the Buddhist style. Such a precious upgrade quota is given to you, but you don't go online and make no contribution to the Chinese server. How can that work? The rules of the first day of the event are that the realm strength of the participating players is reset to the first level, that is, the 4 common professions of warrior, mage, assassin, and priest at the beginning, which completely destroys the balance of strength of each server and makes the event fair. The Chinese server and the European server are extremely dissatisfied, and they rely on their strength to get it for free. No, I have reached the level and realm by my own strength. Why should the activity reset the attributes? Besides, aren't National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival the festivals of the Chinese server? Why is there no benefit for the Chinese server at all? The forum of the Chinese server official website was simply noisy, and Liang Ting ignored these complaining women. She knew the temper of the dog official, and would never choose to compromise under the threat of players. Since they don't make money from you, there is no need to be your grandson. After studying the rules thoroughly, let the leaders of each gang count the number of people and report the 140,000 guaranteed player IDs to the system first, and the system will approve it instantly. When the players participating in the Chinese server were confirmed, the system immediately opened the permission for the number of registrations on each server, and Liang Ting immediately checked. Chinese server 140,000. European server 120,000. Japanese server 98,000. Korean server 96,000. Southeast Asian server 70,000. Russian server 68,000. American server 65,000. The remaining number of registrations 343,000, and the second registration time is 8 PM. Liang Ting's eyes widened. She originally thought that her number was small, but she didn't expect that the commanders of other servers were so bold that they dared to report such a small number of people. Liang Ting noticed the time. There were still more than 3 hours before 8 o'clock in the evening. She immediately counted all the remaining IDs and planned to register in the evening. Then she hesitated. There is an old saying in China that the first bird to stick its head out will be shot. If the number of people in the Chinese server is the highest, other servers will probably put their hatred on her first. She has already guaranteed the number of people, and it seems unnecessary to add more. Moreover, the rules of the event will reset the attributes. Everyone starts from the same starting line. Being watched by so many people is very dangerous. For the remaining 340,000 people, how about letting other servers register? The commanders of other servers did not have Liang Ting's idea. All servers focused their attention on the Chinese server. Now that the strength is equal, it is time to put the Chinese server under their feet and rub it hard. At 8 PM, the second round of registration began. Except for the Chinese server, all servers were oversubscribed. The second round of registration was for players to register on their own. They opened the registration system, typed their IDs one by one, and then submitted them. It was a competition of hand speed. At this time, the advantage of short names was highlighted. In less than 2 seconds, the system prompted the registration deadline and announced the number of participants on the servers. Chinese server 140,000. European server 170,000. Japanese server 150,000. Korean server 139,000. Southeast Asian server 137,000. Russian server 134,000. American server 130,000. The number of people reached 1 million, and the European and Japanese servers instantly surpassed the Chinese server. All servers were surprised that the Chinese server did not register more, and the commanders of each server immediately guessed the idea of the Chinese server commander. This was not going to be the first bird. Although everyone knew the thoughts of the Chinese server, they had to guard against the European and Japanese servers with the largest number of people. Although the number of people in the Korean, Southeast Asian, Russian, and American servers is not as high as that in the Chinese server, it is not much different. This naked conspiracy really makes them unexpected. The commander of the Chinese server is not a good person. As time goes by, there is only 1 day left before the event starts. All servers are strangely quiet, but all players know that this is the calm before the storm. Each kind-hearted commander wants the other to die. The night before the event started, Bai Bing was still struggling with what template to choose for the public area. At first, he planned to use a province in China as a virtual scene, but he thought it was not appropriate. If he used a province in China as a template, it would feel like his own country was invaded. Later, he planned to use cities in other countries as templates, but he felt that it was disrespectful to other countries. After all, this was a slap in the face of others. In the end, Bai Bing set 3 rules. One is that real landforms in the real world are not allowed to appear. The second is to use scenes that all players are familiar with. The third is to have a high level of style and be tall. Bai Bing threw these 3 rules to Heli Bai and asked him to come up with a few options for him to choose from. Heli Bai felt insulted. It was obviously a system, but it felt like working 996. Shouldn't this be something you should consider? What does it have to do with me? Exclamation mark. In the ancient feudal dynasty, Bai was the mastermind behind the scenes. The emperor, and you, Bai Bing, were just a eunuch who helped me manage affairs. You, a eunuch, told the emperor to do things. I'm afraid all your 9 clans would thank you, right? Is that enough to punish? When Bai Bing heard Bai say no, he thought he had heard it wrong. What did you say? Did I hear it right? Are you giving up? No mistake. 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. Bai Bing couldn't believe it. Why are you still so stubborn? Black and white, the place on your blue planet is so small. You can't ask me to conjure up a region for you out of thin air. How can I have that imagination? Even in the world of living things, they all exist formally. Bai Bing was speechless. Then don't just make it out of thin air. Find another real scene. Black and white, you don't allow me to use the scenes of the countries on blue planet, and you want the terrain to be familiar to all players. I can't think of it. Bai Bing, then just move them all to the universe. Wait, that's right. You can use the universe as a battlefield. It doesn't use the national terrain. All players are familiar with it, and it's tall and grand. It's perfect. Black and white. Bai Bing suddenly said to Black and White, I find that you are becoming more and more humane, and even arrogant. Black and White directly asked the soul, I can teleport them to the universe, but how large is the range, and in what form of battle? Where should the flag be placed? And Bai Bing interrupted directly, stop, don't say any more, let me think about it. Bai Bing collapsed on the sofa again, thinking bitterly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304, Go board in the cosmic scene. After all the players in the server waited in anticipation, the date of the last carnival event of the Chinese server finally arrived. At about 7:30 in the morning, the number of online players in all servers of Planet broke the record since the server was launched. Except for the players who participated in the flag battle, most of them rushed into the official live broadcast room. After the players paid the 100 soul points viewing fee with curses, they immediately began to complain in the live broadcast room. I'm so *CKING convinced. I have never gotten up so early to go to work, but I have to pay money to come in. Okay, you know the nature of the dog official. If it is free one day, you will be more afraid. It is either holding back a big move, or planning to go bankrupt. It is obviously robbery, but there is no evidence. Yeah, I guess the court will not accept the lawsuit. By the way, why is the system still prompting that the scene is being generated? It's almost 8 o'clock. The designer hasn't finished it yet, right? It shouldn't be. The designer of Planet is recognized as a pervert in the industry. Other game manufacturers have tried every means to poach him, but I heard that no one succeeded. When the time stepped into 8 o'clock, all players received a system prompt. The battle for the flag has begun. Players participating in the event, please go to the main city to teleport to the universe scene. This flag battle scene mode is carried out in the way of Go. Please grab as many territories and accumulate points as possible on each participating server. The more territories you occupy, the easier it is to get flag points. Liang Ting immediately ordered the players of the Chinese server to teleport. The screen turned, and Liang Ting found that the surrounding environment had turned into a vast universe, with countless stars visible but untouchable. Fuck. This universe scene is too real. I'm a space enthusiast. I can say responsibly that this scene is really realistic. If I didn't know that this was in the game, I would have thought I really came to outer space. I can actually fly in the universe. It's amazing. What are the black spots below us? Didn't you read the announcement? The event description says that it is carried out in the way of Go. These should be the intersections of the chessboard. At this time, the system announcement once again announced the content. The server location of this participation is determined by the number of participants on the server. The initial teleportation location is the various star positions on the Go board, and the teleportation location is not random. The server with the most people is the European server, 170,000, and the initial teleportation location is the Shianeon star position, the center of the universe battlefield. The server with the second largest number of people is the Japanese server, 150,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position on the right. The server with the third largest number of people is the Chinese server, 140,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position on the left. The server with the fourth largest number of people is the Korean server, 139,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position in the upper left corner. The server with the fifth largest number of people is the Southeast Asian server, 137,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position in the lower left corner. The server with the sixth largest number of people is the Russian server, 134,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position in the upper right corner. The server with the seventh largest number of people is the Japanese and American server, 130,000, and the initial teleportation location is a star position in the lower right corner. After reading the announcement, Liangting immediately knew the real gameplay of this flag battle. The four corner star positions are the safest and easiest to defend. The star positions on the left and right sides are more likely to be targeted. After all, there are enemies above and below. The Shianeon star position, which is the center position, is the most dangerous, with enemies on all sides. Sure enough, my choice was right at the beginning. If I really reported the number of participants without thinking, it is estimated that the Shianeon star position is now the Chinese server, and it will really be the target of public criticism. I don't know if the mentality of the European server is exploded at this time. So the servers from top to bottom on the left are Korean server, Chinese server, and Southeast Asian server. The servers from top to bottom on the right are Russian server, Japanese server, and American server. This flag battle is destined to be fierce. Liangting just had this idea, and the map immediately showed that Shianeon refreshed a small orange dot on the right. This is the 2-point orange flag. The distance is too far, and Liangting decisively chose to give up. The activity has just started, and the current points are not important. The most urgent task is to seize the territory and expand the jurisdiction. Only after the territory is expanded can it be easier to obtain the flag. When the flag is refreshed in our territory, Liangting can get it first, and she is not even afraid of other servers stepping in to grab it. In the real world, the three countries with the highest Go culture are China, Japan, and South Korea. Liangting guessed that the other two servers would be the same as hers and would first seize the territory. Even if the commanders of other servers knew the rules of the game, they would not be able to think about it for a while. Above the Chinese server is the Korean server. If they know how to play, they should not expand to our side. If I'm in the perfect position of the Korean server, I will choose to seize the Russian server on the right side. The Japanese server is in the center of the right side, and their commanders are estimated to be able to step on the Korean server. The Korean server will advance towards the Russian server. If I'm the commander of the Japanese server, I will seize the American server. In this case, I will form a three-legged situation with you, and I will expand to the Southeast Asian server in the star position in the lower right corner. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, 16, 19, one book, one bar, one look. As expected, Liangting saw that the ranges of the servers represented by different colors on the map were expanding in the direction she expected. As the commander of the Chinese server, Liangting had guessed that the commanders of the Japanese and Korean servers had the same idea as her. Unless the other four servers were swallowed up, the three servers would not fight each other. Unless the flag is refreshed within the territory of our Chinese server. Otherwise, there is no need to fight for it. Go all out to seize the star position in the lower right corner and swallow up the Southeast Asian server as quickly as possible. Most of the players did not understand Liangting's order, but there were a few players among the 140,000 players who knew Go and smiled with satisfaction at the commander's order. The right choice. Seize the territory first. 7 people play a game together. This way of playing is so damn crisp. The 3 servers of China, Japan, and South Korea are all scrambling for territory on the periphery. Now it seems that the European server with the Shianeo star position is the safest. It's just the calm before the storm. When the three servers completely swallow up the periphery of the chessboard, the Shianeo star position will be a battleground. By then, the European server will inevitably be besieged by the three servers. The dog official has designed such a clever and innovative gameplay this time. The designer must have lost a lot of hair. Brother, are you making a veiled attack by saying this? Are you implying that we Go players have no hair? After Vegeta, Veg William, the commander of the European server and the tank, successfully seized the first orange flag with an area of 2, he thought that other servers would choose to chase the player carrying the flag first, but he found that the servers on the map did not move towards him. After seeing the actions of the three servers of China, Japan, and South Korea, Vegeta William thought about it in confusion, and suddenly realized the seriousness of the matter. Damn. Are we European servers going to be boiled like frogs in warm water? Question mark. However, when Vegeta William figured it out, it was too late. The limitations of distance and time made it impossible for the European server to react. If they were slow, they would be slow at every step. As long as these three servers seized enough territory and swallowed up the target, the next one to be injured would definitely be the European server at the Shianeo star position. Vegeta William took a deep breath, thinking about countermeasures in his mind, and finally made a decision with gritted teeth. Since he was going to die, he would let go and do it completely. Chapter 305, the correct way to play the flag battle. At this time, the three servers of Southeast Asia, Russia, and the United States were still confused. When they saw that the birth point of the European server was the Shianeo star position in the center, their first thought was that other servers must have sanctioned the European server together. When the first 2-point orange flag refreshed near Shianeo, the three server commanders all planned to advance to the European server, and then found that the three servers of China, Japan, and South Korea began to behave like humans and actually moved closer to their birth points. Originally, I thought it didn't matter if the birth point was occupied. Anyway, as long as the number of people did not drop, they would still be able to fight later. But after thinking about it, it was not right. If my birth point was occupied, wouldn't the scope of my territory become smaller? What should I do after the flag refreshes at my original point? Give it to the other party? I understood it after a little thought, but they were the same as the European server, one step slow, and one step slow. The three servers had already approached my territory, and began to slowly erode it. Southeast Asia server commander Chunshu, Nguyen Huang, immediately ordered to stop advancing to the Shianeo star position and return to defend the lower left corner of the birth position, but the behavior of the Chinese server was very disgusting. When the Southeast Asia server withdrew, the Chinese server actually chose to station outside the Southeast Asia server. Now the territory of the Southeast Asia server has been compressed. The flag refreshes in the following few times are all within the territory of the Chinese server. The Southeast Asia server has no way to compete for it, and has not gained any points. The Russian server and the American server, which are in the same situation as Southeast Asia, are also doubting their lives. Can this battle be played like this? Shouldn't everyone fight each other in a group? Aren't you afraid of being punished by heaven for doing this? Exclamation mark. The system updates the server points data in real time. At this time, the points between the servers have widened. European server. 9 points, Chinese server. 7 points, Japanese server. 7 points, Korean server. 6 points, Russian server. 1 point, Southeast Asia server. 0 points, American server. 0 points, European server. Commander Vegeta William knew that the only way to win now was to grab as many flags as possible in the central position, while the other 6 servers were confronting each other, and he did not choose to advance on any server. At this time, the 3 servers of China, Japan, and South Korea suddenly did the same thing, that is, to devour the territory outside the target server and trap the target server in the corner. Most of the audience in the live broadcast room thought that this battle for the flag was a group fight, but it turned out to be a strategic battle. Although there was no real thrill to watch, this kind of game that was eye-catching was also very exciting. It feels like there is no solution. Those 3 servers probably really can't save the situation. Oh my god, this tactic is so disgusting. I'll report it. They're cheating. Otherwise, why do they all work in unison to attack different surrounding servers? The European servers should cherish the present and accumulate as many points as possible. Otherwise, they don't know when they will be surrounded and attacked. 2 hours have passed and there hasn't been a serious battle, but why am I so excited watching it? No way. I saw that the European server has the most people and I bought 100,000 soul points for the European server to win. Brother, why do you have so many soul points? Did your girlfriend give it to you for her 80th birthday? Southeast Asia Commander Ruan Huang knew that he could not go on like this. There were only 2 choices now. One was slow death and the other was a desperate fight. Ruan Huang chose the latter and immediately ordered an attack on the territory of the Chinese server. All Southeast Asian players immediately organized their formations to attack the Chinese server. Liang Ting saw the Southeast Asian server players on the map moving closer together and knew that the other side was ready to fight to the death. She was not in a hurry and ordered on the activity channel, warriors, mages, and priests, be ready for battle and be sure to withstand the opponent's offensive. Assassin players, your task is to plunder the territory of the Southeast Asian server with all your strength while we fight. Liang Ting seemed to be dreaming back to the battle with the Kra tribe when Planet was just launched. The players at that time were the same strength as now, and the number of people was about the same. At that time, Liang Ting knew that the assassin players in the first turn period had almost no advantages except for their speed. In this case, Liang Ting sent all the assassin players out. Even if the loss was heavy this time, it didn't matter. In order to preserve themselves, the Southeast Asian server that lost its territory could only move closer to the relatively safe Shianyu and Star position. Not only the Southeast Asian server would do this, but also the Russian server and the American server would do the same. At that time, their 3 servers would consume the European server, and the 3 servers that successfully seized the periphery could rest on the spot and snatch all the flags refreshed in the territory. The confrontation between the first level players is the most intuitive. The front row of the Southeast Asian server rushed to the Chinese server camp desperately, but was welcomed by dense fireballs before they got close. The front row of the Southeast Asian server, whose attributes were greatly reduced, lost some of their players when the mage failed to reach a sufficient distance to fight back in the first time and the priest failed to stop to add blood in the first time. After baptism, the warrior player of the Chinese server stepped forward to take over. The priest immediately selected the front row in the team and was ready to add blood at any time. At the same time, the assassin player immediately started to run fast and stepped into the territory of the Southeast Asian server from both sides to start grabbing the territory. The Southeast Asian commander, the soft yellow, found that his territory was copied by the opponent and had no way out. He had no way back and could only fight to the death. The opponent had one less assassin profession than us, so he must win. However, because the priest of the Chinese server did not have to distract himself to add blood to the assassin, the frontline warriors could enjoy the priest's high quality service and suffered little loss. The mage in the back row only needed to throw fireballs without thinking. In addition to the fireball skill, there was no other skill with high burst. After all, it was the first level. The starting point of the Chinese server was just defense, so there was not much pressure, but the Southeast Asian server was very heavy. Are you kidding me? The opponent has one less profession than us. We can't even push in. Can you assassins be more powerful? Cut the opponent's back row. I'm going to cut your mother. You can't even break through the front row. How can we assassins cut in? That's right. Do you think I'm a 3rd level warrior now? I'm a 1st level warrior. The daggers in my hands are blunt. It's hard to cut vegetables, let alone cut the back row. No mistake. The audience in the live broadcast room saw that the Southeast Asian server had been completely crushed by the Chinese server, both in tactics and mentality. At this time, the live broadcast screen turned to Liang Ting and the audience side. This is the honor of the Chinese server commander. Worship. It's simply the strongest brain. We must give her 2 more seconds of footage. Look, she is still smiling now. She really doesn't take the Southeast Asian server seriously at all. Okay, Take the Southeast Asian server away and invite the next victim to come on stage. My sole value. Just gone like that. Even if we are at the same starting line, the Chinese server is still so strong. After only fighting with the Chinese server for half an hour, the territory of the Southeast Asian server was basically occupied by the opponent's assassin players. Soft Tuang knew that the situation was over and gritted his teeth and issued a retreat order, rushing to the Shianeo star position. At the same time, the Russian server and the American server made the same decision as the Southeast Asian server. The players on the three servers looked ugly and their mentality exploded. There was really no experience at all. Chapter 306. Internal strife among three servers. On the morning of October 1st, the three servers of China, Japan, and South Korea watched the other four servers fighting in the Shianeo star position. The four servers of Southeast Asia, Russia, and the United States tacitly stopped fighting each other. The primary goal now is to tear the European server apart and then stand firmly in the center and then unite to resist the three peripheral servers. The commander of the European server, Beji William, is already tired. No matter whether he can survive the crisis of being besieged this time, he will suffer a heavy loss. Even if he can resist this time, they will still be bullied by the three peripheral servers with heavy losses. Just admit defeat. Speed up the progress of the event and don't give you more time to capture the flag. The ranking of the flag points at this time is European server 33 points, Chinese server 24 points, Japanese server 21 points, Korean server 20 points, Southeast Asian server 7 points, Russian server 6 points, American server 5 points. When the six servers were scheming against each other, they suddenly received a system notification showing that the European server withdrew from this flag battle and the European server points were fixed at 33 points. What the hell? Is this even possible? Then what about the three servers in the middle? What else can we do? Of course we'll band together to resist the attack from the outside. In my opinion, as long as we unite as one, we may be able to resist the three servers outside. They may not be as tough as a rock in order to win. The audience in the live broadcast room expressed their opinions one after another. The players who had bet on the European server to win had already left the live broadcast room and went to the rooftop. Damn, I had the largest number of people, but I was the first to be eliminated. My entire fortune was played around with by them. After the European server announced its withdrawal, the commanders of the three servers near the Shianeo star position all chose to go to the center alone. After seeing the other two commanders, the commander of the American server was hard to satisfy, Ken and Julie, and said first, from now on, our three servers can no longer be hostile. Now we have to stick together and resist the three servers outside first. Southeast Asian Commander Chunshu, Nguyen Huang, nodded, I agree. As long as we form an alliance, our combat power is bound to be stronger than any of them. Russian server commander Big Bird Vodka, Yeltsin, I agree. As long as we stabilize the area near the Shianeo star position, whichever server attacks first, we will push them back with all our strength, and then seize their territory, and then go back to deal with the other two. Ken and Julie nodded. Let me be frank in advance. Before solving the other three servers, no one can seize territory privately. I don't want any disagreements among us. The commanders of the Russian and Southeast Asian servers nodded in agreement. They are not fools, and will not do such a thing as killing the chicken to get the eggs. However, the three commanders waited for nearly an hour, but the three servers on the periphery did not have any plans to attack them. The map showed that they had not expanded outward at all. This situation was unexpected to the players of the three servers of Shianeo and Star and the audience watching the live broadcast. It must be said that in terms of Go culture, Liang Ting, Ichiro Nimoto, and Cui Yingjing are really great gods. Go is not about fighting and killing, but about trying to occupy territory. As long as your territory is large enough, you will win. As long as the refreshed flag is in your territory, why go out to fight? You three servers are rooted in the center, so let you play by yourselves. Anyway, no matter how you distribute your points, you can't catch up with our three servers on the periphery. The Chinese server, Japanese server, and Korean server no longer have plans to seize territory from each other. The results obtained by making a big fanfare may not meet expectations, and one move will affect the whole body. Who knows if other servers will suddenly attack you. Simply stabilize the periphery and see luck. See which area refreshes more flags. Anyway, everyone's points are about the same now. The 3 servers near the Shineyu and Star position waited until almost 5 PM in the afternoon, and the scene was still calm. At this time, their points were far behind the 3 servers on the periphery. The 3 commanders all agreed that the players on their own servers could snatch the score flags refreshed around them. The agreement between the 3 of us was that we were not allowed to seize the territory, but we did not say that we were not allowed to fight for the flags. However, the emperor was far away. After the commander of their own server agreed to this behavior, when they encountered players from other servers snatching the same flag, the players would have more or less friction. At the beginning, it was okay. No one dared to be too presumptuous, and occasionally they would give way. However, when they saw the double-digit score flag refreshed, conflicts were inevitable, and eventually evolved into a group fight between the players on the server. The players who participated in the group fight sent private messages to their commanders to ask how to make the decision, and the replies they received were similar. That is, damn it. After issuing the secret order, the 3 commanders smiled and talked to each other, as if nothing had happened, and they were silently insulting each other in their hearts. Damn old bastard, you snatched our flag, and smiled like a dog. If you are so good at acting, why don't you become an actor? Question mark? At 7 PM, with 1 hour left before the event ended, the 3 commanders of Shineyu finally couldn't stand it anymore. The other side was really going too far. The 3 peripheral servers had already shown that they would not participate in the competition for the center position. In that case, I don't need to tolerate you 2 idiots. At this time, the 3 of them looked at each other unkindly. The hot-tempered US server commander Ken and Julie asked directly, Southeast Asian server commander, the players on your server crossed our US server's territory and openly snatched our score flag. What do you mean? Do you look down on us? Soft Yellow asked disdainfully, didn't you say that you would not seize territory? How come it has become your US server's territory now? You have Alzheimer's at such a young age. Yelissa Grove decisively finished the knife. That's right. We Russian servers have tolerated your US servers time and time again, but you have intensified the killing of our players. If you want to fight, speak up. We fighting nation are not afraid of anyone. Ken and Julie also has a hot temper. She stood up and shouted angrily, on one side of you is a kidney monster. On the other side is a brainless bear. Allying with you is really the stupidest thing I have done in my life. Yelissa Grove also stood up and sneered. The 3 servers of China, Japan, and South Korea are bullying me. You come to join in the fun. Let's fight. There is no mistake in the song, the content, the book, the bar, and the 6ix9ine. I'm really impressed. Wasn't today's event a fighting show? Why did it turn into a sitcom? If I had known this would happen, I might as well have fought the 3 servers outside to the end. I want to transfer to China. Do you have any channels? Sure enough, where there is a crouching dragon, there must be a phoenix. I thought Lubu was already an idiot, but I didn't expect there are people who are even more stupid than him. Whose general is this? I thought that this time the attributes of all servers were reset to the first transfer, so that I could beat up the Chinese and European servers, but I ended up messing up. Chapter 307, Extras with Beards. At 8 PM, the points were settled, and the final rankings came out. Chinese server. 78 points, Korean server. 76 points, Japanese server. 72 points, European server. 33 points, Russian server. 29 points, American server. 26 points, Southeast Asian server. 25 points. Chinese server won the first place in the flag battle with a 2-point advantage, and the level of all participating players in the Chinese server increased by 1. Korean server and Japanese server are very helpless. The territories are similar, but their luck is not as good as that of Chinese server. There is nothing they can do, and they can't blame others. The hot topic in the live broadcast room is not the content of Chinese server winning the championship, but the process of the 3 servers around Xianyu and star position cursing each other. They no longer care about winning or losing. After the first day of the event, they switched from the in-game curse war to the official website forum to curse each other. The 3 servers that were originally good have now turned into a situation of no end. It has to be said that network trolls are existences that cannot be provoked in any era. The activity on the second day was trash bombing. This activity did not require any technical skills. On the day of the activity, you could even do what you normally do without any restrictions. You just needed to submit a keyword to the system and pay 10 soul points when speaking in the cross-server channel. The cost was very low, but the reward was very high. The server with the most surviving players at the end of the activity could get a 1 level increase in the level of all the players in the server. Bai Bing did not spend much time thinking about this activity when he set it up. He just wanted to make money from the players. The content of the cross-server channel in this form of activity was bound to explode. Each speech paid 10 soul points. This above-board robbery method simply won the hearts of Bai. Like Bai Bing, the servers did not take this activity too seriously. After submitting all kinds of strange keywords to the system before going offline, they all chose to go offline and rest. At 8 AM on October 2nd, the system announced that the trash bombing had officially begun, and the cross-server system immediately began to flood the screen. Southeast Asian servers are dogs. Unity is your mother. Yamidi. Chinese servers are idiots. The Chinese national football team is the best in the world. Please collect, reward, and traffic. Am I on TV? Teacher Kang, I love you. Many kidney treasure. You are fine. I'm fine. All kinds of ridiculous remarks were refreshed on the cross-server channel. Many players did nothing all day long, just staring at the cross-server channel for fun. Isn't this more interesting than watching short videos? However, without the players realizing it, the soul value in their backpacks was slowly disappearing bit by bit. Bai was also refreshed all day because of his silent wealth. Bai Bing even felt Bai's attitude of licking dogs towards him. In order to have fun with the people, Bai Bing also quietly set a keyword for each of the 7 servers. As long as any player mentioned this keyword, all the players on the corresponding server would be collectively wiped out. Bai Bing planned to announce this hidden news at 6 PM, which was 2 hours before the end of the event, because Bai Bing guessed that the players' enthusiasm for this event would gradually decrease at that time, and the announcement at that time would just increase the enthusiasm and plunder another wave of player souls. It was also because of this event that Bai Bing had time to go shopping on the second day of the National Day holiday. He came to the long-lost coffee shop at the entrance of the community alone. The waiter smiled and greeted him after seeing the familiar face. Brother Bing, I haven't seen you here for a long time. Bai Bing smiled and greeted. Busy, working during the National Day. Did the bearded boss give you triple salary? The bearded boss walked out from behind the bar and joked with a smile. What's the matter? If you don't get triple salary, are you going to sue me at the labor bureau? Bai Bing nodded. I have considered this. The bearded boss smiled and waved his hand. Go to hell. What do you want to drink this time? Do you want to try our new products? Bai Bing shook his head. No, the same as usual, and some snacks. After that, he walked to the familiar seat and collapsed on the sofa in a daze. At this time, a man and a woman, 2 couples came in and sat near the door, just with their backs to Bai Bing. Bai Bing watched the couple not looking at her the whole time and whispered to the waiter normally after ordering food. Bai Bing knew that the other party was the nanny who took care of her, so she ignored it and took out her mobile phone to chat with Lin. No mistakes. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1 6, 1 book, 1 bar. This festival, Bai Bing asked Lin to go to her hometown Binhai City alone to celebrate the festival with her family, and she lied that she had important things to do in the company and couldn't leave, so she didn't go back to celebrate the festival with her. Lin was very considerate and agreed. Bai Bing didn't make this decision herself, but Bai asked her to do so. Bai Bing asked Bai why he wanted to send Lin away. Bai gave a straightforward answer this time, that is, the void in the abyss will attack on the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, so Bai Bing also chose to keep it a secret on the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, because she didn't know how the void in the abyss would invade. Henny Bai asked Bai Bing to keep Lin Lin stable and let her stay in Binhai City for a while. Although Bai Bing didn't know why, she knew that Henny Bai must have his own reasons for suggesting this. When the holidays are about to end, it shouldn't be difficult to find an excuse to let Lin Lin continue to stay in Binhai City. The bearded man put the food in front of Bai Bing and sat down to chat with Bai Bing as usual. When the bearded man sat down, the couple at the door naturally glanced in this direction. Bai Bing knew with her, but that the nanny on them or outside would definitely be able to amplify their voices so that they could hear clearly. Bai Bing didn't care. It was good that he just accidentally said something that was difficult for you to understand so that you could be mentally prepared. The bearded man sat down. Old Bai, you haven't been here as often as you used to be dating, that you don't even have any private time. Bai Bing smiled and said, no, my girlfriend lives in the same building with me, so I see her every day. There's no way I can date that often. It's just that something happened at work recently, and I can't handle it. Listen up, nannies. I'm about to start performing. The bearded man leaned back on the sofa, feeling very happy. It's normal to be unhappy at work. I also thought that I was the protagonist of the world and could reach the pinnacle of life on my own. But in the end, I was beaten down by the society and ended up opening this store. Tell me, brother, if you're unhappy about anything, I'll see if I can give you some advice. The nannies, good job, bearded man. Just asking like that. We'll buy our work meals from you from now on. We have to say that the unwitting bearded man, an extra in the group, was very responsible and helped both the nannies and himself. Bai Bing looked hesitant and even solemn. Then Henny Bai whispered something in Bai Bing's ear and Bai Bing replied as if they had a big secret. He then said to the bearded man, I'm telling you, don't tell anyone else. Listen carefully. I'm going to start telling a story. The bearded man saw his old friend's solemn expression and didn't joke. I feel uncomfortable with you being like this. If it's really inconvenient for me to hear it, you can not tell me. The babysitter, what the hell are you talking about? Do you believe that I will cancel the working meal? Bai Bing shook her head. It doesn't matter. I may not be able to tell these things to other people. I have known you for so many years, you should believe it. It's just that this matter is a bit unbelievable, so I'm afraid you will think I'm crazy. The babysitter, go ahead and tell me. The bearded man, although I think you're an idiot, don't worry, I will never think you're crazy. I still have to make money from you. Bai Bing, I won't tell you if you do this again. Chapter 308, Where is your home? As soon as Zhang Yi returned to the office after the meeting, he received a message from his subordinates. He immediately took out headphones from the drawer and put them on. Then he opened a specific software on the computer, entered a string of numbers, and clicked to enter. The next second, he heard Bai Bing's familiar voice. I had a dream before. I dreamed that our blue planet was invaded by alien creatures, and that dream was very realistic. Bai Bing said. The bearded man, it's just a dream. It's normal. Are you troubled by this dream? Bai Bing stretched out his hand to interrupt. Of course not. I thought it was an ordinary dream at first. My current job is to make games, and I often come into contact with monster design in games. I was thinking that maybe you dream about what you think about during the day. The bearded man nodded. Yeah, then what are you worried about? Bai Bing pretended to look around, then said softly, but I have had the same dream for a month, and the dreams are coherent. This is very strange. It's so mysterious. You won't catch me and slice me up for a search just because I had a dream. The bearded man was obviously stunned by Bai Bing's mysterious dream. Is it so mysterious? And then what? Maybe it was because running a store every day was too boring and Bai Bing's dream was too novel. The bearded man suddenly became curious. Bai Bing said softly, I work for an internet company. I have strong computer skills and know some people, so I rented some equipment from someone, the kind of equipment that ordinary people can't get access to. Then I discovered something terrible. The bearded man was drawn into the atmosphere created by Bai Bing and nervously approached and whispered, what's the matter? Zhang Yi also turned up the volume and covered his ears. He was also very curious about what made Bai Bing so neurotic. It lasted for a month, and the time was consistent with Bai Bing's weird behavior. Bai Bing repeated what the black and white said in his ear. I found that there is something in the universe that is approaching our blue planet, and I estimate that within half a month, this light spot will arrive near the blue planet. After saying that, Bai Bing was suddenly stunned. What the hell? Coming to our blue planet? Exclamation mark. Isn't it the world of living beings? Exclamation mark. Then he turned his head secretly and muttered to himself in an almost inaudible voice, what the hell? Coming to our blue star? The black and white voice surrounded his ears. The dream is fake, but the time and place are real. On October 8th, the void will arrive at the blue star. Bai Bing was stunned, the bearded man was stunned, and Zhang Yi was also stunned. Zhang Yi believed in Bai Bing's so-called equipment and the information received from the equipment. Otherwise, why would Bai Bing make such jokes to the owner of the cafe for no reason? This matter must be taken seriously. He picked up the landline and made a call, asking the secretary to make an appointment with some technicians in the aerospace department. If what Bai Bing said was true, why didn't they make a statement to the inside? Bai Bing turned his head in confusion. Obviously, he was shocked by the news. Then he stood up and took a sip of water and hurriedly said to the bearded man, no more. I have something to do and I'll leave first. Come next time. After that, he left the restaurant quickly. If he hadn't paid the bill when ordering, others would think he was eating a free meal. After returning home, Bai Bing immediately asked Hey Bai, what do you mean? Aren't the void and the abyss targeting the world of living beings? Why did they reach our blue planet? Hey Bai, I don't know. Normally, the target is indeed the world of living beings, but I have a hunch that something has changed. The void has shifted its focus from the world of living beings to the blue planet, but I can't figure out what this change is. Bai Bing knew that this day would come, but she didn't expect it to come so soon, and the location was actually her home planet. What exactly happened? At 6 o'clock in the evening, Hey Bai automatically announced the server keywords that Bai Bing had said before, and once again triggered the soul value harvesting mode of the entire server. From 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the evening, in just 2 hours, Hey Bai looted more souls from players than in an afternoon. When the event ended, the server with the most remaining players turned out to be the Russian server. I don't know what keywords they set, but half of the people were still fighting. After the event ended on October 2nd, a large number of players logged off. In the Wu-Wei area, 2 creatures were standing outside the space-time rift at the entrance of the 6th Dragon Emperor's tomb. Because the 6th Dragon Emperor Milano had fallen, King Niu also left the Wu-Wei area after stabilizing the space in trance. Both creatures were 2 Dragon Emperors from the void. One was the 4th Dragon Emperor Brickler, and the other was the 5th Dragon Emperor Shire. Brickler looked at the entrance to the space and said through gritted teeth, I didn't expect that the first one to die among us would be the smartest guy. Shire closed her eyes and said nothing. Brickler turned her head and looked at Shire. You have always had a disagreement with Milano. You should be very happy now. Why are you so gloomy? Shire knew that she had the original blood of the dragon mother in her body and could know everything she had experienced, so she couldn't say too much and showed her original evil smile. I'm just a little disappointed. The enemy of so many years suddenly fell, and it seems that I didn't get any satisfaction. Brickler didn't think much about it. Milano has never taken you seriously, and you have been targeting him. Shire suddenly said, have you found the key to the world of living things? Brickler shook her head. Anyway, it's enough to make sure it's in the hands of Hawaii. It's only a matter of time before we find him. He can't recover to his heyday in a short time. At that time, as long as we kill him, we can open the void channel. Shire, the powerful people in Jiazhou will not let you get your wish. Brickler smiled and said, I've been lurking for so long, and I found something interesting. None of these so-called Kaishu powers who have reached the level of beheading one corpse have appeared. I guess they should not be able to come here casually. Shire has been trapped in the space of the 6th Dragon Emperor and has been cut off from the news of Kaishu. Are you planning to attack the human race? Brickler nodded. I can't do it alone, but with you, it will be a lot easier. The dead monkey and the 6-handed grasshopper are staring at me all the time. I will lead them away and leave the rest to you. I believe that the Kaishu powers in the human race are not your opponents now. Shire was concerned about Milano and didn't want to agree, but was afraid that the dragon mother would find out, so she could only perfunctorily, "Let's talk about it after my injuries are healed." Brickler looked at Shire in surprise. Just as she was about to speak, a space fluctuation appeared suddenly. 6 players from the Chinese server appeared near the space of the 6th Dragon Emperor. They immediately discovered the 2 Dragon Emperors standing at the door of the space, and the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Player A was surprised. Wow, 2 Dragon Emperors are here? Are they dating? Player B, possibly. Player C, it seems that we can't go down to the dungeon this time. They will probably kill us in seconds. No mistakes, just 1 post, 1 content, 1 book, 1 forum. Player D, I was thinking about rushing down the level after the game. It seems that I can go offline to eat. Player E, you haven't eaten yet, but my girlfriend has already prepared the food for me. Player F, are you a dog? Shire frowned when she found that the 6 humans were not afraid of her. Brickler seemed to have gotten used to it. This group of humans were really different from the ancient times. It seemed that they didn't have the so-called fear mentality. She joked to the humans, "Hello, little ants of the human race." Player, "Hello, old woman, are you dating? Is this your lover?" Shire, "Are all humans so brave?" Brickler was not annoyed. "You are still as tough as ever." Player, "We are not only tough in words, but also in other areas. Do you want to see?" Brickler laughed and said, "You are so bad. I like you so much. I can't bear to kill you." The player said, "What's the point of killing us? Come to my house if you dare. I will show you what oppression is." Another player said, "Don't drive. Be careful of being banned. These Dragon Emperors are the official NPCs of the dog. You will be targeted later." Brickler suddenly appeared in the center of the human race, but did not kill them. He smiled and teased the human race who just said that he was tough in other areas. "Then where is your home?" The player suddenly turned around and asked his friend who was studying abroad, "Where is the address of the White House in the United States?" Of course, he would not tell his real address. Otherwise, what would the designer of the dog official send him? What if he didn't think about it? Hit 1600 in Pennsylvania, Washington DC. Brickler was puzzled after hearing this. Is there such a place in the Kaishu world? However, Thea was immediately stimulated by the dragon mother's original blood in her body and asked with an ugly face, "Where are you in the universe?" The international student thought that the designer had taken a fancy to him and gave him a test, so he immediately answered arrogantly, "Laniakia supercluster Virgo cluster local group Milky Way or arm gold belt local bubble local interstellar cloud Oort cloud third planet in the solar system blue star. I'm a space major. This is not difficult for me." At this time, Thea's mentality collapsed. Damn, this is not the universe coordinates of the Kaishu world. This is the real coordinates of the human race in the universe. Chapter 309, Black and White Leave. Bai Bing and Bai could never have imagined that the opportunity for the Void to invade Blue Star was actually revealed by the players themselves, and it was said by a proud aerospace professional player, and the content was so detailed and so sure. With this expression, "Are you trying to take credit from our official?" Question mark. After listening to the words of the human race, Brickler restrained his smile and turned to ask Shire, "The coordinates," he said, "are not the coordinates of the Kaishu world, right?" Shire's heart was full of 10,000 alpacas running wildly. Of course not. Seeing the expressionless face of Shire, Brickler turned around and smiled at the human race and said, "Thank you for your answer. In return, we Void will arrive at your Pennsylvania coordinates as soon as possible. I hope you will treat us well when the time comes." Bai Bing almost let Bai reveal the details of this player. If he didn't know that this guy was unintentional, Bai Bing would have thought that this guy was going to betray his country. Bai's voice was extremely serious at this time. The 5th dragon dish has the original blood of one of the dragon mothers of the Void. The dragon mother must know what this player said. With the speed of the Void, it will definitely arrive within a week. Bai Bing slumped on the sofa and looked at the ceiling. "You said before that you had a hunch that the Void would arrive at Blue Star on October 8th. It seems that there is no way to avoid it." Bai was silent. Bai Bing continued to ask, "Is it possible for Blue Star's military force to resist the Void?" Bai still didn't speak. Bai Bing knew Bei's character and knew that he meant it was impossible to resist. He clenched his fists and struggled again to ask, is there no way? Can Blue Star only surrender? Bai finally said, there is a way, but I can't guarantee that it will succeed. Bai Bing immediately sat up and asked, what way? You tell me. Bai did not answer, but said to Bai Bing, I will leave before the 8th. During this time, you should try to get as much soul value as possible. Then the voice stopped. Bai Bing called Bai several times but no one responded. He suddenly wanted to take out his cell phone to call his family, but he stopped before dialing. He didn't know what to say or how to explain. Should he tell them that there was an alien invasion and to prepare food and hide in a basement? Exclamation mark. Finally, he put down the phone. He had such a big secret in his heart and there was no one to confide in. In a conference room in the capital of China, the military and the aerospace system were sitting on both sides to hold an emergency meeting. Zhang Yi was present. A leader of the aerospace department asked Zhang Yi with a serious face, General Zhang, I want to know, what is the basis of your previous question? Or how did you get this information? Zhang Yi's face was serious. He originally just wanted to consult the aerospace department to be safe, but the other party suddenly notified a meeting today, and it was against him right away. Could it be that what Bai Bing said was true? This is a secret of our military region. Now we just want to know what the result of your investigation is? Zhang Yi was evasive and used the secret to evade the question. The generals around him did not expose him. The aerospace department said, you said that there are certain substances in the universe that are approaching our blue star. We observed for an afternoon, but ultimately failed to find any planets or threatening substances whose trajectories overlap with the blue star. Zhang Yi breathed a sigh of relief. That was good. The military district leaders around him all frowned. Since there was no threat, what was the purpose of your convening this meeting? But the aerospace department hesitated to speak, and finally a leader of the aerospace department sat up and said, General Zhang, leaders of all military districts, although we did not find any physical substances overlapping with the blue star, we suddenly discovered that the mass of the universe around the blue star had changed during our observation of the universe. You can look at the information in your hands. As a reminder, this is absolutely confidential. After reading it, I implore you not to disclose any information to the outside world. The generals of each military district looked at the report in their hands. It took the generals of the military districts half an hour to digest the more than 20 pages of paper word by word. Zhang Yi looked up in disbelief and asked, these data, apart from our country, do other countries know about it? A leader of Hangting shook his head. They probably don't know for the time being. If we hadn't just gone deep into this aspect, we wouldn't have discovered it so quickly, but I believe that as the mass changes in the universe intensify, they will definitely be able to detect it within 3 days. Now, I would like to ask General Zhang, what is the basis for your previous request for us to investigate? Or what is the channel for providing information? The next morning, there was a knock on Bai Bing's door. He got up and opened the door to find 2 familiar people standing at the door with serious faces. They were his 2 nannies. They saluted Bai Bing. Just as Bai Bing was about to speak, he waved his hand to interrupt him, then went home, picked up his coat and mobile phone, walked out of the house, and said to them, let's go. On the way, Bai Bing said nothing. He took out his mobile phone, thought of an excuse to lose contact for a while, and then posted a circle of friends. The 2 official personnel sitting in front of him said politely, Mr. Bai, I hope to contact the outside world as little as possible in the next period of time. Bai Bing put down his mobile phone, smiled and teased the official personnel in the co-pilot seat. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time. The official personnel smiled politely and did not answer. The car drove all the way to the suburbs. An armed helicopter was parked in an open space in the bushes. Bai Bing got out of the car and put on his coat. It seemed that he was going to the military district or the capital. No mistakes. He got on the helicopter very consciously. There were 3 fully armed soldiers sitting inside. After Bai Bing sat down, he took the headphones from his side and put them on. He gave a thumbs up in the direction of the driver's seat. The military personnel next to him wanted to help him, but found that he didn't need to do it himself, so he didn't say much. The armed helicopter took off. Because he was wearing headphones, the noise was not very loud. The soldier sitting opposite Bai Bing saluted and said through the headphones, "Mr. Bai, the destination this time is a conference room in the capital. During this period, the three of us will protect you. I hope Mr. Bai will cooperate." Bai Bing nodded, stretched out his hand and shook hands with the other party. Bai Bing was on his way to the capital. The Horror Value Collector event on October 3rd was launched. Countless players arrived at various regions of the Chinese server through teleportation. The night before, the players submitted the information they planned to play to the system. Some played horror characters in movies, some played murderers in the news, some designed their own costumes, and some even played their own family members. I don't know what the last one was thinking. I guess he was beaten too many times at home. Activity rules: submit 100 soul points to participate in the event. After the event, the top 100,000 players with the highest horror points will have their levels increased by 1. If the horror points are cleared, it will be a failure. Every time you are scared, the system will determine how much the horror points drop. Chapter 310, Wormhole. Basically, the masters of each server did not participate in this activity. They all watched as third parties with the mentality of watching their sons and daughters play. However, the idea is beautiful, but the reality is very skinny. There is also a default rule for this activity. You cannot participate, but you cannot stop others from intimidating you. After all, intimidating any player can gain terror points. Almost all the masters of the servers chose to teleport to the Chinese server that day. After all, it is rare to have such an open opportunity to sightsee in the Chinese server. However, this group of players regretted it as soon as they set foot on the Chinese server because of the reasons of concealing their IDs and obtaining intimidation points indiscriminately. No matter which server you are a player of, you can't escape the monsters who jump out halfway. I was planning to visit the Chinese server, and I don't know which idiot suddenly jumped out to scare me. The key is that he was dressed as Teletubbies. Is he sick? You are Teletubbies, and I'm a Calabash Brothers. He came up and asked me if I caught his grandfather. Then what does this Xiang in front of me mean? Is he looking down on me? You are all too weak. Just now a player dressed as Sadako scared me, and I came up and lifted her hair and tried to kiss her forcibly. The pervert upstairs has been identified. No, aren't you afraid that the player is a man? You all suffered mental damage, but I suffered physical damage. Halfway through, a Kakashi shot 1,000 years of death at my ass, which scared me so much. The damn officials are playing tricks on us, right? Players on other servers who had originally planned to find out clues about the routes now have no intention of doing so, because you never know what kind of cow or horse will jump out and disgust you when you are concentrating, and the key is that you don't even know his ID, so you can't get revenge. In the morning, many players from other servers teleported to the Chinese server out of curiosity, but in the afternoon, they basically didn't want to come. Now the Chinese server is full of ghosts and monsters. Even the players who didn't participate in the event chose to teleport to the Russian and Japanese servers for sightseeing. Some players quietly quit the game because they were intimidated too many times and went to the official forum to denounce the dog officials for carrying out such a torturous activity. Aren't your Chinese National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival both festive festivals? Why design such an anti-human activity? Question mark? If it weren't for the fact that it was not allowed to attack ghosts during the event, it is estimated that the Chinese server would have been a river of blood by now. Bai Bing was taken into a meeting room at this time. At first glance, he saw the vice president sitting in the middle of the conference table. The senior person was not there. Obviously, Bai Bing's information was not enough for China to pay great attention. It seems that the void has not arrived yet. The staff member who led Bai Bing politely gestured to Bai Bing to sit down, then walked out of the meeting room and closed the door. Another staff member wearing gloves came up to Bai Bing and said with a polite smile, "Mr. Bai, this meeting is confidential in principle, so I hope Mr. Bai can temporarily hand over your phone to us." Bai Bing took out his phone and handed it to the staff member. After the other party took it, he said, "I will return the phone after the meeting." Then he left. The chief executive, who was sitting in the center, looked very energetic, though his hair had some white hair. Seeing Bai Bing sitting solemnly, He smiled and said, "Mr. Bai, I hope you don't mind bothering you in this way." Bai Bing did not dare to overstep the line and replied modestly, "Just call me Bai Bing, Chief. I'm your junior." A staff member put the report in front of Bai Bing's desk, and the chief executive said, "Read this report first, and we'll talk after you finish reading it." Bai Bing picked up the report and read it carefully, then put it down after 5 minutes. The chief executive said, "Bai Bing, first of all, I apologize to you. The military has been monitoring you during this period, or you can say it's protection." Bai Bing immediately said, "I know, and I don't reject it." The chief executive nodded. "Thank you for your understanding, and this report was compiled yesterday, based on some of the information we heard from what you said to the boss at the gate of your community." The leader of the aerospace department continued, "This report shows that the mass changes in the universe began yesterday. The notice from the military region said that the source of the information was provided by you, so we want to know why you could predict it in advance before the mass of the universe changed." Bai Bing closed her eyes, wondering whether she should confess completely or continue to deceive. Seeing that Bai Bing didn't say anything, Zhang Yi in the conference room knocked on the table gently. "Bai Bing, we need you to tell the truth." Bai Bing opened her eyes and looked at Zhang Yi. "I had a private phone conversation with you at the beginning. Do you remember what I said?" Zhang Yi recalled, frowned, and asked, "At that time, you asked me what our country would do if alien creatures invaded the Earth." Bai Bing nodded, then looked at the chief executive and decided not to be perfunctory. "Chief, leaders, what I'm going to say next may be shocking and hard to believe. Of course, you can treat me as a lunatic or lock me up and torture me, but I hope that before you make any decision, you can let me finish what I say. Chief Executive, as long as you have not done anything that is harmful to the country, society, and the people, no matter what you say, we are willing to listen and consider it." Bai Bing nodded, then tore off the top page of the report in his hand and said, "Everyone, this white paper in my hand, you can understand it as the universe, and the result of the evolution of the report in your hand is actually just to fold up the universe near the blue star, like this." Bai Bing folded the paper in half. "Do you understand what I said?" The chief executive nodded and said jokingly, "Your statement is easy to understand. Bai Bing, you have a strong ability to express yourself, much simpler than the scientific researchers in our aerospace department." The conference room laughed softly, and the aerospace leader stared at the paper. Bai Bing continued, "I believe the relevant personnel in the aerospace department already know what I want to express." After speaking, Bai Bing used his finger to forcefully penetrate the paper, that is the wormhole. Bai Bing's conclusion was the conclusion reached by the previous discussion with Heli Bai, and Bai Bing also believed in Heli Bai's judgment. The aerospace leader stood up and asked seriously, "Our investigation did not reach this conclusion. Why are you so sure?" Bai Bing took a deep breath. "What I say next, you can regard it as my final conclusion. You can question it, but before questioning it, please think carefully, because there is not much time left for us on the blue planet." Bai Bing's words made Zhang Yi, who was sitting on the other side, stiffen his body, as if he already knew what Bai Bing was going to say. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311, Countdown to the 8th. In the following afternoon, Bai Bing used the center point where other creatures might exist in the universe to explain his views. First of all, the universe is endless, and the probability of other creatures existing is very high. Secondly, the mass of the universe near the blue star has changed significantly, and this change is aimed at the formation of a wormhole. Although it has not yet taken shape, it is only a matter of time, and the time is extremely short. Finally, he raised a question, asking everyone present to think about why a wormhole appeared near the blue star for no reason. It is very likely that other creatures in the universe have arrived near the blue star. Now Bai Bing cannot say that the people who came are the Void Clan in his Planet game, otherwise he will really be arrested as a psychopath. At the end of the meeting, except for the chief executive and some aerospace personnel, most of the other participants questioned Bai Bing's words. Bai Bing had no choice but to give a reminder. In the afternoon, Bai Bing chose to return to Guangzhou. He planned to calm down at home and prepare to face the Blue Star 3.0 version in a few days. He hoped that the door of his house would not be destroyed by the nannies at that time, and they would not come up and arrest him directly. If I had known, I should have hidden behind the scenes. What kind of company would I have started? What a dream. Dreams come true. It turns out that dreams come at a price. Bai Bing didn't pay attention to the in-game activities today. It was already evening when the staff of the capital escorted him home. Maybe because of the high tension today, Bai Bing was extremely tired. He took a shower at home and fell asleep. It was already 10 o'clock in the morning on the 4th. Today's food test activity has been going on for 2 hours. At this time, the territory of the Chinese server was extremely lively. Even in the corners, there were traces of players. Are you kidding me? Aren't you Chinese server players ripping off customers? This is obviously a pancake. How dare you say I'm wrong? What are these? Why can you sell rabbit heads? That's too much, brother. Who dares to eat your fried grasshoppers? Why are these tofu black? Are you poisoned? Brother over there, that's chili sauce. It's not for eating directly. Many unpopular Chinese delicacies such as pig intestine rolls, broken crispy baba, field mugwort cakes, broken bean cakes, liang ping yuanai dried tofu, seaweed cakes, belly button cakes, and stuffed vegetables were put on the table by players from all over the country. Many high-end delicacies that are well known both at home and abroad were also put on the table by a group of rich players. They did not do it to compete for soul points, but to let Chinese delicacies go out. Such a good opportunity to export culture is extremely rare. The happiest people in this event are not the players, but the creatures of various races living in the territory of the Chinese server. They have been in alliance and trade with the Chinese server for so long, and each creature has more or less saved soul points. In the morning, they found that there were tempting foods everywhere in the territory of the human race, and they were greedy and curious. Xiao Jena took Xiao Mu's hand and looked around in Jiushan Zuandu. Look over there. What is that? It looks like cotton. Xiao Mu, that's cotton candy. Xiao Jena, buy it for me. Xiao Mu, okay. Xiao Jena, what is that? It looks delicious. Xiao Mu, that's steamed bun. Xiao Jena, buy it for me. Xiao Mu, okay. Xiao Jena, look. It looks. Xiao Mu was amused and interrupted directly. Sister, you have been eating for a whole morning. Aren't you afraid of getting fat? Xiao Jena was immediately angry. What do you mean? You dislike that I'm fat, don't you? Have you changed your mind? Are you planning to break your vow of adultery? Xiao Mu looked up to the sky and sighed. That's not what I meant. I'm just curious why you aren't full after eating so much. Xiao Jena immediately showed an expression of enlightenment. I understand. You are afraid that I will spend money, right? Okay, I don't need your money. I will buy it myself. Xiao Mu, you said. In another area of the Chinese server, Long Kui took Yu Jian's hand and said with a childlike smile, Brother Jiangxing, try this, it's delicious. Brother Jiangxing, this popsicle is too cold, I don't like it, I'll give it to you. Brother Jiangxing, do you want a chicken leg? I'll treat you. Brother Jiangxing, why are your palms sweaty? Are you hot? Jiangxing shook his head awkwardly at Long Kui, shouting in his heart, how can I not be nervous? Do you know that you are in the late stage of Shengming realm? As long as you get excited and exert force with your hands, my blood volume will drop. If I hadn't taken drugs secretly, I would probably be offline now. The surrounding foreign server players were stunned to see a creature in the late stage of Shengming dating a 4th turn player from the Chinese server. What the hell? Awesome. This is an old cow eating young grass. Brother, you are really a role model for us men. At this realm, you must be at least tens of thousands of years old. The Chinese server players who knew the inside story saw the innocent Long Kui and silently spitted on Yi Jian in their hearts. Bah, scumbag. Long Kui doesn't even know if she is an adult, and you dare to do this. You are really not a human being. In the Fenghua continent, Fukai directly grabbed a foreign server player and said, "Brother, lend me some soul value, and I will return it to you another day." No mistake. 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. The foreign server player was a little confused. Would the NPC in the Chinese server ask someone to borrow money? "I don't know you. Why should I lend you money?" The foreign server player struggled. Fukai approached with his head and said with a ferocious expression and a gloomy bass, "If you don't lend it, you don't give me face. If you don't give me face, you don't give face to the human race. If you don't give face to the human race, you are the enemy of the human race. Since you are an enemy, then I will kill you, and it should be right." Looking at the introduction of the half-step Holy Spirit realm on his head, the foreign server player finally gritted his teeth and borrowed the soul value, and then left cursing. After Fukai got the soul value, he immediately came to Ziyan's house and laughed loudly. "Sister Ziyan, let's go shopping. The human race has made a lot of delicious food. How about I treat you to a big meal?" Ziyan has been gradually moved by Fukai's persistence for so long. After all, a good woman is afraid of a clinging man. Facing such a shameless guy, she changed from embarrassment at the beginning to distress, then entanglement, and finally gradually turned into expectation. Many Chinese server players have not encountered Fukai recently, just because this guy has been licking the swan and preparing to overtake on the curve. In the Silver Fire area, Jiho brought Takia back to Xian again and again. Since she became pregnant, Xian's appetite is very large, almost like a cow in the day. "What is the toilet?" Jiho asked weakly. "Wife, you have eaten a lot. Be careful not to get too full." Xian gnawed on the roast duck carelessly. "No, this is just the beginning. Do you think I want to eat it? It's the baby in my belly that wants to eat it. I haven't eaten so much before." Jiho muttered in a low voice. "You used to eat so much." Xian frowned immediately. "What were you mumbling just now?" Jiho hurriedly put on a smile. "No, I was wondering why the baby hasn't been born yet." Xian was also distressed. "Yeah, the veterinarian from the human race said that the due date was last month. It's been so long, we won't have to be pregnant for 3 years too?" Jiho was speechless. "Do you think the baby in your belly is Nessa?" Xian slapped Jiho away and roared. "Don't talk nonsense. My baby can't be Nessa. The human race says that Nessa has 3 heads and 6 arms. How can he get a wife in the future?" Jiho. Chapter 312. Gibbon Monkey. Bai Bing was a little uncomfortable with the disappearance of Henny Bai in the past 2 days. With the coming of the void, Bai Bing now had no sense of security. He was obviously an ordinary citizen in the Blue Star, and he was really anxious to bear such a great pressure for no reason. At this time, the American NASA Research Institute came up with a report. After the research of NASA researchers, a shocking conclusion was obtained. The report was submitted to the American Secretary of Defense as soon as possible. That night, more than a dozen American politicians at the ceiling level gathered together for a meeting, and the president was also present. The result of the discussion was similar to that of the Chinese Aerospace Research Institute, but they had not yet thought about the wormhole. Early in the morning on the 5th, the PUBG event that the Planet players had been thinking about was launched. The underlying rule of this event was that all players in the Chinese server were forced to participate, and foreign server players were also forced to eat chicken, as long as they chose to teleport to the Chinese server. As a perennial bachelor, Yang has dabbled in all the popular online games, and is even more proficient in the popular game PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. He is not a second-generation rich man, so of course he hopes to win soul points in this event. He can get 500 soul points for each player he kills, and lose 1000 soul points if he is killed by other players. Yang is going to eat chicken tonight with great luck. He chose an assault rifle and a sniper rifle, a random pistol, and his civilian version of a fire stick. Because he didn't need to scavenge for supplies, Yang chose a sparsely populated location in advance and planned to hide. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the system prompted the start of the event, and then firecrackers were set off everywhere in the entire Chinese server area, with the sound of da-da-da-da incessantly, and occasionally accompanied by bursts of explosions. The cross-server event channel was flooded with messages like, "What the hell? I was shot in the head before I could react." The main city of the Chinese server is full of people. One bomb can kill a bunch of them. I lost 1000 souls without killing anyone. I died straight after winning Diamond 1. The whole northwest of Shanxi is a mess. Why can I see people forming a team? A man and a woman teamed up, and they blocked my line of fire. You are so ignorant. Don't you know that there are 2 gigolos in the Chinese server? They enjoy hanging out with NPCs in the game. Oh my god. Is this possible? Sure, Island can be said to be He Yang's home court. No player is more familiar with it than He Yang. He Yang, who originally planned to stay here, unexpectedly found that there were many players on Shure Island, but judging from their outfits, most of them were from foreign servers. He Yang took out a bolt sniper and aimed at the stealing guy not far away. He shot him in the head with an ultimate bullet and then quietly moved to another place. This bullet had exposed his position. There were no gun accessories except for the scope in this event, so there was no silencer or anything. He moved step by step towards the cave, where Mingjie was trapped. He killed several Voldemorts on the way. Suddenly, he had an ominous premonition, and lowered his head in a hurry. The next second, a string of bullets passed over his head. He Yang's eyes became serious. There is a master. As a veteran, Nang Jun was also a soldier king in the army. This feeling that was exactly the same as that of a formal gun made Nang Jun feel the long-lost passion. Nang Jun, like He Yang, was also rushing to the final victory to eat chicken, so he didn't go to a crowded place at the beginning. After killing a few people, he suddenly heard gunshots not far away. Without saying a word, he touched over and found a player with a familiar figure. Although his ID was covered, Nang Jun knew that he must know him. Since he was an acquaintance, Nang Jun was not polite. It was better to let him get away with it than to die in the hands of others. Without saying a word, he picked up his rifle and started firing. Unexpectedly, the other party actually squatted down in advance to avoid this sneak attack. Nang Jun's eyes became serious. Master. Just like that, a retired soldier with rich combat experience in reality and a otaku with an absolute record in the game met. He Yang's first reaction at this time was to fight the other party head on. If he didn't dare to fight in the game, wouldn't he be timid in the future when he entered the society? After thinking it through, He Yang took out a smoke bomb and threw it directly at Nang Jun. When the smoke bomb began to disperse, he took out a Molotov cocktail and threw it again without saying a word. This method is commonly used in the chicken game. When the enemy's line of sight is blocked, the Molotov cocktail can be effectively used to eliminate the enemy unexpectedly. This kind of common trick for eating chicken is extremely effective for the peasant army, because the peasant army does not eat chicken in his spare time. When he feels the heat, his blood volume begins to drop. The surprised peasant army runs outside the smoke bomb without thinking, and starts to use medicine. After finding a bunker, if you want to leave, you are not the opponent of this person. You can come up with such a spiritual counterattack in such a short time. You can't compare. In this way, the peasant army was scared away by He Yang's combination punch. After waiting for a while, he found that there was no movement on the opposite side, and immediately jumped into the cave. Few people knew about this cave, and it was absolutely safe for him to come down and use medicine. At this time, he suddenly heard a sound from the depths of the cave. He Yang was slapped in the face instantly. He didn't expect that his house would be robbed. This is looking down on me. After sneaking deep, he heard the sound again from behind the corner, that is, the stone cave, where Mingjie was sealed. He gritted his teeth in his heart and let you trespass. Without saying a word, he threw a Molotov cocktail in, followed by a flash bomb, took out his gun, and rushed in directly, and there was a burst of gunfire. Then a familiar voice came from the cave. What is that? Take a look at the book. Damn. It will get angry. Wipe my eyes. Huh. Why does this voice sound so familiar? A player I know? Very good. It's cheap to others, so I might as well give it to myself. Die. After firing a burst of bullets, He Yang found 2 embarrassed creatures sitting in the cave. 6-eared macaque, 4-god monkey, realm. Tang B8 monkey, 4-god monkey, realm. Shengming peak, weak, realm fell to Shengming early stage. He Yang widened his eyes. Is there any innate treasure here, or is the feng shui good? Why do you all like to run to my place? Tongbi ape monkey has white hair all over its body, and its sturdy body is more like a small gorilla. The fire and water stick on He Yang's waist instantly broke away and flew towards the Tongbi ape. After the effect of the flash bomb wore off, the six-eared macaque barely opened his eyes. After seeing that the person coming was a human, he let down his guard and said angrily, "Are you sick? Why did you use that thing to attack us for no reason?" The Tongbi ape looked at the human weakly, then looked at the fire and water stick in his hand, feeling that the human had his own heritage in his body, and did not speak. He Yang directly retorted, "You damn monkey broke into my house, so I can't attack you?" The six-eared macaque frowned. "This is your home? Then it's okay." At this time, the Tongbi ape said, "Why do you have my heritage in your body, and why is the fire and water stick in your hand?" He Yang was silent for a while. "Maybe it's because I'm lucky, or because I'm handsome." Six-eared macaque, Tongbi ape. "It must have been stolen by you, right?" Chapter 313. Visitors to the cave. He Yang saw the distrustful eyes of the six-eared macaque and the long-armed ape, and knew that they must think they were talking nonsense. He improvised nonsense and suddenly became anxious. "You can question me, but you can't question my appearance." After thinking about it, he told the story of meeting the 5th Dragon Emperor Shire in the tomb of the 6th Dragon Emperor. When he heard the name Shire, the long-armed ape looked ugly and gritted his teeth and said, "I was seriously injured by this guy at the beginning. If it weren't for the 8-9 mysterious art in my body forcibly protecting my heart meridian, and the one key water and fire stick independently separated from the fight with Shire, I might not be able to get it out." The six-eared macaque didn't seem to be surprised. He knew that the two monkeys Tongbi and Lingming were transformed by the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, and were not easy to perish. He Yang asked in confusion, "Also, why are you in my cave? Is there really an innate spiritual treasure here that is good for healing? Otherwise, why did Mingjia and Tongbi run to their own home?" Tongbi ape said weakly, "I was seriously injured and rushed to the final fossil in mission at the risk of my life. It was Leela who found me and let me come out of the world. I felt the breath of the one key water and fire stick here, so I asked him to bring me here." He Yang widened his eyes. "What do you mean? Are you planning to take my weapon away? Then what should I use?" He hurriedly stepped forward to grab the one key water and fire stick and protected it against his chest. "Don't even think about taking my weapon away. I took it from the 5th Dragon Emperor with all my heart. You want to take it back with just one sentence? Don't even think about it." Lilo Macaque had previously reminded Tongbi ape that the human race is a group of creatures without a bottom line. What they do and say is unpredictable. Tongbi ape now understands why Lilo evaluates the human race like this. They are completely rogues. They plan to take their weapons by force. The one key water and fire stick suddenly turned into a needle and drilled into Tongbi's ears. Tongbi closed his eyes and didn't want to reason with the human in front of him anymore. Lilo lifted his ears and said, "You have already received Tongbi's inheritance. You have already earned it." He Yang was reluctant. "Then you have to give me a weapon that is easy to use. If you take my weapon away like this, won't I be left with nothing?" Tongbi opened his eyes and said slowly, "My inheritance is the best weapon. This opportunity comes with the 8-9 mysterious skills. When you master this mental method, you will be invulnerable to swords and guns, and water and fire will not be invaded, and there will be no upper limit to your strength and realm." He Yang looked questioning. "Is it so mysterious? There is also a special mental method. I'm sweating profusely from running now." When one person and two monkeys were communicating, a flash bomb rolled in along the secret passage. He Yang was stunned when he saw it. "There is still a thief in my house!" Exclamation mark. A flash exploded, and Lila and Tongbi saw a burst of white again. They had already enjoyed this thing once. It didn't hurt, but it was disgusting. Then another Molotov cocktail was thrown in, and Lila and Tongbi felt the warm flame again. "Damn. Another one?" Question mark. Before He Yang could react, his health was dropping. The location of Tongbi and Lila was printed in his head. He closed his eyes and ran towards the two monkeys. After feeling the fur, he went behind them and started to spray pesticides. Nangjun rushed into the cave with a rifle and fired without thinking. The bullets tinkled on Tongbi and Lila. It turned out that when He Yang sneaked into the cave, Nangjun was not too far away. Seeing that the enemy in front of him was so familiar with the location of the cave, he knew without thinking that this guy was woohoo, Yang. Since he was an acquaintance, there was no need to be shy about attacking him. He sneaked into the cave and heard the movement at the corner. Learning from the lesson he had learned before, he started to disgust him with the same tricks as Yang before. After firing a round of bullets, Nangjun was stunned when he saw the two creatures with the title of 4 divine monkeys on their heads. Tongbi and Leo were also confused. Do you humans always ask for a beating when you greet each other? Although there was no harm, the monkeys felt insulted. While the peasant army was still in a daze, Yang, who had finished applying medicine, came out and fired a volley of bullets at the peasant army. Every shot hit the peasant army's head. The peasant army didn't even have a chance to react before the system prompted that he was killed and lost 1000 soul points. Tongbi looked at Yang in surprise. You killed your own people just like that? Exclamation mark. Lila was used to it and asked Yang, why didn't I feel the breath when I met you humans this time? Yang thought that it might be because the system hid the player's breath during the event. The attributes were reset. How could he feel the breath? He said that he was clear about everything. Bullshit. Just when Yang was about to continue talking nonsense, the system suddenly prompted that the poison circle was refreshed. The location of Shura Island was outside the poison circle. Yang was confused. What the hell? A poison circle was generated. Exclamation mark. The rules didn't explain it, but after thinking about it, he was relieved. It was normal. The event ended at 8 o'clock in the evening. If the players stayed there during this period, the meaning of the event would be gone. I won't talk to you anymore. Clean my house before you leave. Seeing that his health was starting to drop and he couldn't use the return scroll during the event, he left to run away from the poison. Tongbi said to himself, my inheritance was actually obtained by an annoying human. Lila envied Tongbi instead. At least your inheritance was not rejected by this human race. My inheritor probably hates me to death. What are you going to do next? Stay here to recuperate or go back to mission? Tongbi pondered, closed his eyes and said, I'll recuperate first. When I'm healed, I will kill the 5th Dragon Emperor with my own hands. Please help me go to mission and tell Yang Jian that we'll have a fight again when we have a chance. Lila shook his ears and looked at Tongbi speechlessly. Are you really stupid or just pretending to be stupid? Yang Jian has reached the level of beheading corpses and you were just at the peak of Shengming in your prime. He has been avoiding you. Do you really think he is afraid of you? He is just annoyed by you. Tongbi said calmly, Ling Ming and I are both at the peak of Shengming. He can fight back and forth with Yang Jian, and so can I. No mistakes. Just read the content of one poem, one post, one book, and one forum. Lila sighed and said, Ling Ming is very spiritual and smart. He becomes stronger when facing a strong opponent. Even if he meets an opponent stronger than himself, he can grow while fighting. You just have a good foundation, which is not the same. Tongbi was indifferent to Lila's words and took out a water and fire stick from his ear. Don't worry about Yang Jian for now. I just want to kill the 5th Dragon Emperor now. At this time, Lila suddenly felt a breath and looked outside the cave. It's really lively here. Someone else is here. Tongbi asked, is it the human race again? Lila smiled. It can be said that this great man did come from the human race. At this time, a figure walked into the cave, looking weaker than Tongbi. He looked at Tongbi and Lila and said slowly, 5th Dragon Emperor, you can't kill him yet. Tongbi squinted his eyes after seeing the person clearly. How ie, you are not dead. Lila stared at How ie, as if he saw through him. You actually have the shadow of the Dragon Emperor in you. It seems that the story that happened to you is very exciting. How Yi said to Liu with a tired face, the 6th Dragon Emperor Milano died in front of me, and the 5th Dragon Emperor Shire was seriously injured. You should be talking about them. Or, are you talking about the Dragon Mother? After Tongbi and Liu heard the word Dragon Mother, the temperature in the cave dropped sharply. Chapter 314, Male and Female Fighting Competition. October 6th, someone knocked on Bai Bing's door again. After opening it, it was the familiar nanny duo. Bai Bing knew that he was going on a business trip again and he turned around to get his coat and mobile phone. Then one of the people at the door said, "Mr. Bai, this time you need to live in the capital for a while, so you may need to prepare some clothes." Bai Bing was stunned for a moment. It seemed that the aerospace department had confirmed his wormhole statement. He nodded and stuffed a few sets of clothes into his backpack. He checked the water and electricity and walked out of the house, saying slowly, "Let's go." Today's men and women fighting competition event has been long awaited by the masters on various servers. The previous activities were basically entertainment in nature, just for fun. The activities of today and tomorrow are the focus. Liang Ting is determined to win the championship of this event. She has already mastered the 4th level profession of heart life. Now she can be said to be both a nurse and a resistor. The attributes are not low, and the damage is also okay. She is simply all round. As soon as 8 o'clock arrives, the system automatically pops up the matching window. Of course, you can also click cancel match and choose to exit. After all, this event is not mandatory. All the players in the server were matched at the same time. Liang Ting matched her opponent in less than a second. Then the screen changed, and she was randomly teleported to a snowy space. The characteristic of this space was that it reduced the speed of both parties by 10%. Because of the hidden ID, Liang Ting didn't know which server the other party was from. She only knew that the other party was a warrior, but didn't know the specific rank. The chat channel was temporarily closed, and she couldn't chat. Liang Ting didn't plan to be polite with the other party. After the prompt 3, 2, 1, the male opponent directly drew out the sword blade, turned on the state, and rushed towards Liang Ting. Liang Ting directly killed the opponent with a thunderbolt. The system prompt appeared. The player successfully defeated the 2nd level professional Holy Sword Disciple and obtained 500 soul points. 2nd level, no wonder it is so fragile. After teleporting back to the main city, she immediately chose to match again. The cross-server channel was full of complaints. This event is extremely unfriendly to us rookies. I was killed instantly before I could even use any skills. The best martial arts competition in the world. Why are you, a 1st level player, so desperate to participate? Can you believe that I, a 3rd level magician, was killed instantly by the opponent's warrior in 2 hits? This event is for 4th level players. I estimate that the champion of this event will most likely be the Chinese server, as they have the most 4th level players. I can understand losing, but why was I matched with an NPC named _ Kui? There was thunder in the sky before the game started, and then it's written in the event rules that NPCs from some games can participate. You're just unlucky. Hahaha, Long Kui is an NPC in the late Shengming period. What evil things have you done to deserve to meet a big guy first? Yi Jian participated in this event for the purpose of fighting. Since he became a 4th level player, he had almost no chance to fight with players of equal strength. His profession belonged to a special inheritance, and most 4th level players were general inheritance. Yi Jian had been looking for opponents to sharpen his sword. After defeating 7 or 8 players in a row, he was matched with a player who was also a warrior in the next second. He also didn't know the opponent's exact profession. Yi Jian drew out his sword and appeared behind his opponent in a flash. He swung his sword and tried to kill him instantly. However, the opponent actually reacted and summoned a stick-shaped weapon to block it. He kicked Yi Jian sideways and Yi Jian escaped. Stick-shaped weapon, warrior profession. The opponent was also a 4th level player, either a howling ape or a war Buddha. Yi Jian was slightly excited. Since he was a 4th level player, he had to take it seriously. The opponent obviously realized that Yi Jian was also a 4th level player and took the initiative to use a stick to directly stab the ground. Yi Jian jumped away by intuition. The next moment, a huge stick-shaped shadow protruded from the ground just under his feet. Because the characteristic of this space is that flying is prohibited, even a 4th level profession cannot fly in the space. When Yi Jian fell in the air, the opponent rushed to the direction where Yi Jian landed and then jumped high. The two immediately faced each other with sticks and swords in the air. The after images of each other's attacks and blocks caused cracks on the ground below. Yi Jian felt the slight pressure from the enemy in front of him. His face gradually became serious, and he whispered, 10,000 swords. When the opponent saw several after images of the sword attack in Yi Jian's hand, he was stunned. He was clearly in the crotch, so why did the opponent's attack still hit him, hitting the cow across the mountain? Question mark? After being hit once, his health instantly dropped by half. After landing, his face was terrified. Yi Jian did not give the opponent a chance to think, and continued to whisper, "Kill the sword," at a speed that was difficult for the naked eye to grasp. Yi Jian pierced the opponent's chest with a straight sword. The system message popped up. The player defeated the 4th level fighting Buddha profession and obtained 500 soul points. Although this warrior Buddha started to fight back and forth with me when I got serious, even if the opponent was at the 4th level, he couldn't resist. It seemed that, if there were no accidents, I would be the champion. No mistakes. 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. After teleporting back to the main city, I chose to continue matching my opponent. The next second, I was teleported to an endless ocean with no foothold. If the 4th level, or below players, who couldn't fly, could just admit defeat. When the opponent teleported to a place not far away, although the ID was covered, the familiar appearance, the mean smile, and the behavior that deserved a beating immediately let Yi Jian know who the opponent was. Fukai, why can you participate? Yi Jian asked in astonishment. Fukai found that the opponent was also an acquaintance and smiled meanly. Your woman can participate. Why can't I? I also hope to earn some soul points from this fighting event to buy gifts for Ziyan's sister. Yi Jian thought for a while. Yes, long Ku I can participate. So should Fukai. Then his face gradually showed an excited expression, and the fighting spirit was about to overflow from his body. Fukai smiled appreciatively and said, I have to say that the realm improvement of your human race is indeed abnormal. In such a short period of time, so many human races have been promoted to the divine realm. But don't be so happy. Your current realm is at most the late divine realm. Yi Jian's face was serious. It's enough to deal with you. Fukai shook his head. Not enough. I have crossed the peak of the divine realm and now I have touched the threshold of the Holy Spirit. Yi Jian became more excited after hearing this. Half a step to the Holy Spirit. That's even better. I'll let you be my whetstone. Fukai loosened his hand as a warm-up and smiled meanly. Since you want to fight, I will be gentler because you lent me so many soul points. On the morning of October 6th, only 1/10 of the players in the Planet server participated in the men and women fighting competition. Basically, the morning competition was to screen out all the players below the 4th level. When all the remaining players were 4th level players, it was the real competition. And this event does not have any counter-attack stories of 2nd level defeating 3rd level, 3rd level defeating 4th level. It is not a Krypton Gold game. The attribute lead of one realm is overwhelming. The defeated players had no complaints and quietly logged into the official website to watch the next Park Live broadcast of the Masters. Fighting and killing were the most annoying things. Isn't it more fun to watch people fighting each other? Chapter 315, Black and White's True Identity. It was still the same conference room, but the difference was that the participants had changed a lot. The participants sitting on both sides were no longer mainly researchers, but decision makers from various departments. After Bai Bing entered the conference room, he sat in the corner without saying a word. It was not the time for him to speak. At this time, an old man saw Bai Bing and said directly, Mr. Bai, from the last meeting to now, our field has been verified no less than 100 times, and finally came up with 2 possibilities. Bai Bing waited for the other party to continue. 2 of the calculations showed the collapse of the cosmic mass near the blue star, and the remaining 98 calculations will form a new wormhole, and the location of the wormhole is near the moon. Obviously, you are right. The old man said at this time, if the research department can detect it, then some other institutions can also detect it. After this meeting, I will invite the leaders of all parties on the Blue Star to hold an online meeting. Before attending the meeting, Bai Bing, I hope you can tell us everything you know. Although the old man's words were a request, Bai Bing was not stupid enough to think that the other party was being polite to him. He nodded. You go ahead. The old man slowly said, first, do you know what the alien creatures in this wormhole are? Second, you are the first person to make this statement. I want to know the basis for your obtaining this information. Third, what is your opinion? No matter which question Bai Bing asked, he didn't know how to answer. What are the alien creatures in the wormhole? Should I tell you that they are the void creatures in my game? The basis for obtaining intelligence. Should I tell you what the system in my body told me? My opinion? What can I think? Everyone in the conference room was waiting for Bai Bing's reply. When Bai Bing was about to be treated as a psychopath and was about to tell the truth, a familiar voice suddenly rang in his ears. I'm back. Bai Bing's originally tense body suddenly relaxed. He was finally back. If he didn't come back, he would go crazy. You heard the question. How should you answer it? Tell the truth. If they don't believe it, I'm here. Okay. Bai Bing was very serious and confident at this time. He stood up and glanced at the participants and slowly said, you should know that my game company has a phenomenal online game called Planet. Everyone has investigated Bai Bing and basically understood him. Bai Bing continued, everyone, have you ever thought about the creatures in Planet? They are not NPCs designed by our company, but real flesh and blood lives in another part of the universe. Hearing this, the participants in the meeting began to think it was a bit ridiculous. How could this be possible? Bai Bing then roughly described the relationship between the world of living beings and the void abyss from ancient times to the present, and then said, and the living beings that formed the wormhole and arrived near the moon this time are the void. One of the old men said, I believe the objective facts you said. After all, the formation of the wormhole is something that will happen soon, but the game you said is too horrifying and realistic. Bai Bing smiled and slowly raised his hand. The entire conference room, except for the stools and tables where he sat, turned into a vast universe. Under normal circumstances, security personnel should have come in to guard at this time, but I don't know whether it was due to environmental changes or the intervention of black and white, and there was no change at the scene. With everyone stunned, Bai Bing slowly said, in ancient times, the war between the human race and the void abyss cannot be said to have been lost, but it was not won either. At that time, the human race was almost extinct. Our legendary Nuwa brought the spark of the human race to the blue planet, and later became what we are now, while the other gods in our Chinese legends have been staying in the Kaishi world, ready to resist the invasion of the void and the abyss at any time. Although I was reluctant to believe Bai Bing's wonderful story, I really didn't know how to explain what I saw in front of me. And on October 8th, which is the day of the Mid-Autumn Festival, the void will arrive near the blue planet through a wormhole. I can tell you responsibly that there is no room for negotiation with the void. They come here this time to destroy the last spark of our human race. If you ask me for my opinion, I can tell you directly that it is a fight to the death. One of the old men stood up and stretched out his hand to grab the stars in front of him and said in shock, are these real pictures in the universe? Bai Bing, to be precise, our current location is in the universe. Everyone present was unable to calm down, and the old man asked the most critical question, how did you master the so-called Kaishi world and turn it into a game? Bai Bing was about to speak when Heli Bai suddenly said in his ear, let me tell you. After that, a bright white dot suddenly ignited in the universe and gradually grew larger, and finally evolved into a yin and yang Pisces picture. In everyone's astonished eyes, the Pisces picture opened from the middle, and a person exactly like Bai Bing walked out of the picture. It was also the first time that Bai Bing saw the true face of Heli Bai, and she was filled with mixed feelings. You are Heli Bai? Heli Bai smiled and nodded to Bai Bing. I'm Heli Bai, and at the same time, I'm you. Everyone listened silently to the conversation between the two Bai Bings. Heli Bai said, before, you kept asking me who I am. Now it's time to be honest with you. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, 1619, one book, one forum, one look. Bai Bing stared at Heli Bai, who slowly said, in ancient times, there were 3 saints in the world of Jiuzhou, namely, Tongshan, the leader of Jijiao, Yuan Shixianzan, the leader of Chanjiao, and Ao Qianzan, the saint of Rinjiao. In the war between the 3 worlds, Jiuzhou lost miserably, and the human race was almost extinct. In order to preserve the last spark of the human race, one of the saints of Jiuzhou, that is, Niang Niang Hua, was tasked with continuing the spark of the human race. At all costs, Jiao left Jiao with serious injuries and took the spark of the human race. This arrangement involved Tangshan and Yuanshi. Although they did not die, they could no longer appear in the world. When they were about to be naturalized, the two saints used their last resort to cut off the passages to the void and the abyss respectively, and Jiao was barely preserved. Bai Bing immediately asked, "Didn't they say that the two saints died because of saving the world of Jiao? You said they didn't die. Then where are they? Why haven't they appeared in the world yet?" The people present didn't know how to interrupt the conversation between Bai Bing and Bai. A blue planet that advocates materialism everywhere is now the continuation of idealistic myths. Fortunately, the people present are of the highest quality in China. They quickly adjusted their mindsets and listened to the conversation between the two Bai Bings. Bai shook his head. The reason why they have not been born is because they can't be born, because you haven't opened the yin yang Pisces diagram. The place where the two saints are is in the Pisces diagram. The saint of the human religion, Dao Qianzhen, originally placed the origins of the two saints in his Pisces diagram. One yin and one yang are exactly where the two saints are nurtured, and the Pisces diagram can only be opened by Qianzhen himself or his incarnation. And you are the inheritance of Qianzhen's incarnation Taishang Laojian. Among the human race, only you are qualified to own the Pisces diagram. So now you know why I chose you in the first place. Bai Bing was stunned and asked dully, "Then who are you?" Bai smiled and said, "I'm the Pisces diagram in front of you." Chapter 316. Time is running out. In the universe, more than a dozen old men were silent in the conversation between the two Bai Bings. When the environment changed back to the conference room, the black and white figures had disappeared, and a group of armed men rushed in. After seeing that everyone present had a heavy expression, a soldier stepped forward to inquire about the situation. The military decision makers waved their hands to let them leave temporarily. When the soldiers stepped out of the meeting room, the oldest elder stood up and asked Bai Bing, as the one who knows the most about alien creatures, "What suggestions do you have for the crisis on Blue Star this time?" Bai Bing didn't dare to sit down and answer, so he also stood up. "Sir, I can't answer you now, but I hope that China, and even the entire Blue Star, will be prepared for the worst. This time, we have no way out." The old man walked to Bai Bing. "I know from your conversation just now that your mission involves the fate of all mankind. If you have any needs in the future, we can satisfy you, as long as we can do it." Although Bai Bing was not a soldier, he saluted. "Thank you." Bai Bing did not speak throughout the rest of the meeting. The old man directly deployed at the meeting. For the crisis on Blue Star this time, the whole of China must be prepared. The military will respond to combat readiness, cancel all soldiers' leave, call up retired soldiers, and allocate all unit resources to the military. After making dozens of resolutions, Bai Bing suddenly raised his hand to interrupt. "Sorry, I have a request." Everyone looked at Bai Bing seriously. Now Bai Bing is the winning trump card in their eyes. I hope the official will not mobilize the players in the game planet. Although Blue Star is about to face a crisis, Kaishu is the front line. I have an idea in my mind that requires players in the game to implement. The old man immediately agreed, and Bai Bing stood up. "Thank you for your attention in the next meeting. I need private space now. I hope the official can arrange a place for me to stay." In Planet, as the activity time goes by, the opponents matched by the players are becoming more and more valuable, and there are a large number of players watching in the official live broadcast room of each battle. It's so pitiful for God Jiangxing. He actually ran into Fukai, who is half a step away from becoming a holy spirit. The command skills of the Chinese server are so disgusting. The opponents don't even dare to take the initiative. Ha ha ha. Fukai is the one who is miserable. He just defeated boss Jiangxing, and then he ran into his girlfriend. He was pinned to the ground and whipped. Damn it, the skills and damage of the 4th level players are so abnormal. How can we ordinary players survive? Hurry up and watch the live broadcast room number 79. The two 4th level players of the Angry Monk profession are fighting each other, and they just don't lose blood. This will take forever. Hey, our unit suddenly received a notice to recruit retired soldiers. Our community has also received it. It seems that the whole country is recruiting to join the army. Oh, yes, I see that the official has issued a notice. Players of Planet can be exempted from returning to the army and do not need to join the army. What the hell? Is the Black and White company so prestigious? Aren't you afraid of being banned by the official? At 7 PM on October 6th, two champions were announced. The male player was Leona uses shampoo from the Chinese server. He defeated the Chinese server player Master Mage with his Buddha profession, which can fight, carry, add blood, and has a high output. The female player was also Listen to Brother from the Chinese server. She used the disgusting bug of her exclusive profession to defeat the NPC Lanqi and won the championship. Originally, Lanqi, who was in the late Shengming period, was the female champion in the minds of all players, but after meeting Liang Ting, two big moves bounced directly to her, and she lost to her own hands with a confused face. Liang Ting won without even using any skills. After teleporting back to the main city, Lanqi looked at Yu Jian with a wronged face. Brother Jiangxing, I lost. I'm sorry. This is the soul value I won before. I give it all to you. The surrounding players saw Lanqi's pitiful appearance and gnashed their teeth at Yu Jian. Damn, I don't even eat gigolos like you. Are you really going to be a non-human? Question mark? Yu Jian's mouth trembled. I didn't ask you to win the championship. Didn't you say you wanted to participate and have some fun? Exclamation mark. Who are you showing this to now? You want to put me in dire straits, right? Question mark. And when did I say I would take your soul points? After Liang Ting and Zhao Mu won the championship, the official website of Planet was instantly lively, and players were discussing the strength of the Chinese server. I have to say that the Chinese server is really awesome. The two priest professions directly won the male and female championships. I really don't accept it. Why does the Chinese server have an exclusive profession, while our other servers don't? Yeah, if our server also has an exclusive profession, we may not lose. Besides, the Chinese server was opened earlier than all our servers. It has more regions, a wider territory, and no shortage of resources. You can also enter dungeons to upgrade. It's really unfair. Then what can you do? Quit the game? Don't be silly. Planet is already infinitely close to fairness among all the games on the market. Look at other games that don't require you to spend money. That's right, we lost in technology and opportunities, and the damn official has never really favored the Chinese server. If we lose this time, we will fight back next time. That's right, playing a game also involves national justice. Haven't you targeted our Chinese server enough in previous activities and campaigns? Didn't you still win by us? No mistake. One song, one post, one content, one book, one forum. After the event, Bai Bing discussed with Bai in the temporary residence of the official website that night, and listed many opinions, which had to be discussed one by one, and finally the feasible content could be fed back to the above. Because Bai was back, Bai Bing was not as anxious and uneasy as before. Black and White, the wormhole has just been formed, so the void creatures that arrive at Blue Star in a short period of time will not be too strong. Blue Star will at least have the strength to fight. We have to race against time during this period. Bai Bing, the void has already appeared. What about the Abyss? Black and White, the Abyss does not know the location of Blue Star, and its target will only be the Kaishu world. The two channels of the Abyss are watched by powerful people, so there is no need to worry for the time being. Bai Bing, the Abyss should not invade the Kaishu world in a short period of time, right? Black and White, no, the habits of the Abyss creatures are extremely dark. They will not rashly invade Kaishu. Before the void invades, they will only lie dormant. Bai Bing, then what do you expect the strength of the first wave of void creatures to arrive at Blue Star will be? Black and White pondered for a moment. The highest realm will not exceed the divine realm, and the number will not be large. Bai Bing took a breath of cold air. Divine realm. This is not something that humans on Blue Star can fight against. Black and White nodded. But you have already thought of a way, haven't you? The idea you told me before. As long as the soul value is enough, I can help you realize it. Bai Bing forced himself to calm down and comforted himself. I'm already doing it. I can do it. Before he disappeared, Bai said, time is running out. Chapter 317, Summit Meeting. October 7th, the men's and women's team competition event was about to begin, and this time was also the time for the video conference of the heads of state of the world on Blue Star. Bai Bing was invited to attend this meeting. Unlike the elderly scholar standing beside the heads of state in the video, Bai Bing was standing next to the old man. At the beginning of the video, the old man got straight to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that with your scientific research capabilities, you have predicted the changes in mass in the universe, and this is exactly the topic I suggest to be discussed at this summit. The heads of state all looked heavy-hearted, and they obviously noticed the changes in the universe. It was precisely this anxiety and uneasiness about the unknown that allowed this summit to be carried out smoothly in a short period of time. The US president immediately said, "Our country predicts that a wormhole will form near the blue planet in a short time. Although I'm reluctant to admit it, it is indeed possible that alien life has arrived." The heads of state agreed with the US president's statement, but they could not accurately guess the time of the wormhole's formation. The old man pointed out directly, "Everyone, we agree with your prediction. A month ago, our research department had already detected changes in the universe. Of course, this month was the time when Bai Bing discovered the clues. It was also because of Bai Bing that China saved a lot of intelligence shortages. A month ago, the heads of state showed surprised expressions. Even the United States, a country known for its scientific and technological strength, only discovered the clues 2 or 3 days ago. Could it be that China has such advanced scientific research technology in private without showing off? In order to dominate the meeting, it is necessary to throw out topics and content that are enough to deter other major countries. A month ago, after China discovered the mass change in the universe, it immediately conducted numerous tests. The results of the tests are the same as your conclusions. A wormhole is indeed about to be formed in the universe near the blue star. But unlike your guesses, China has already accurately known the time and location of the wormhole. In the video, the heads of state were silent, waiting for the conclusion of the Chinese side. They believed that China would not exaggerate on such issues, and the habits of the Chinese people would not be aimless. They must have their basis for being able to say it at such a high-level meeting. The Chinese side did not beat around the bush, and directly put out the conclusion. Today is the 7th of the Chinese time. Our predicted conclusion is that on the 8th of the month, that is, tomorrow, a wormhole will be formed, and the location will be near the moon. At that time, we may need to face the invasion of alien life. Tomorrow? The heads of state did not expect it to be so fast. They still held a fluke mentality and thought that the time would not be so rushed. The Russian leader immediately said, "I believe in China's technology. I believe in the time and place, but is the word invasion you mentioned too harsh? And is the formation of a wormhole a normal evolution in the universe, and not actually the existence of alien life?" After hearing what the Russian leader said, the heads of state did not speak. Obviously, they were still struggling. Although this idea was unrealistic, it was the closest to human nature to escape. Knowing that there must be such a problem, his face was serious, his fists were placed on the table, and the delusions of the heads of state were shattered. "I believe your researchers have come to a conclusion, so I don't need to speak with data. Now your delusions are irresponsible to yourself. A wormhole suddenly appeared in the universe that can cross countless light years in a short period of time. This cannot be a normal evolution. This is enough to show that there are alien life with technology that infinitely surpasses the blue planet, and it is a malicious and aggressive behavior." The US president and the Russian leader asked a question at the same time. What is China's idea? As China was the first to discover the change in the mass of the universe, and was suspected of knowing the time and place accurately, all parties gave enough respect and patience, because they did not know how much intelligence China had mastered about this crisis. The old man came to the conclusion directly. When a strong person comes to the home of a weak person, the most likely thing the strong person will do is to occupy it. And our blue planet is now in the position of the weak. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a game between races and a crisis for mankind. Our Chinese opinion is that once a negative or even worse situation occurs, we must fight back with the strongest means. The heads of state of various countries were holding a video conference at this time, and they took over the documents submitted by officials who were not in the camera and signed them. Obviously, they have realized the seriousness of the matter, or have known the seriousness of the matter for a long time, but have always been lucky. After the time, place and opinions given by the Chinese side, they must also take corresponding measures. In one morning, the heads of state of various countries reached a basic consensus, and all the hostility, contradiction, hatred, sanctions and other conflicts between each other on the blue planet were temporarily shelved. At noon, according to the law of the rotation of the blue planet, the United States, which can reach the surface of the moon the fastest, launched 3 observation satellites at the same time, and promised to share data. Half an hour later, all the major countries with combat capability on Blue Star summoned retired personnel and newcomers at the same time. Under the strong request of China, the heads of state of various countries were very confused as to why China insisted that planet players did not need to respond to the call. No mistakes, 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. Looking at Bai Bing behind him, Bai Bing nodded and then inserted the USB flash drive of the black and white good into the computer. An unknown file instantly appeared in front of the screen of the heads of state of various countries, and a take-eye Pisces diagram appeared. Just like what they had experienced before, the heads of state of various countries were instantly placed in the universe. In the universe, Bai explained the relationship between the ancient world of Kaishu and the void, the cause and effect one by one. In the incredible expressions of the heads of state of various countries, Bai Bing felt a little embarrassed. He could have simply asked Bai to persuade directly, but the official had to say so much. Afterwards, the old man comforted him and said, "It doesn't matter. I must keep the initiative in China's hands, and I don't know any reason for them not to recruit planet's people in foreign countries. This is my negligence, not your fault." Bai Bing was indeed impressed by the old man's charm. The old man in a high position had a matching look on his face. Obviously, the upcoming crisis put him under great pressure. Bai Bing no longer had fear, flattery, or pressure. All he had was respect and determination. He said to the old man, "Don't worry, sir. Blue Star will definitely get through this crisis." The old man patted Bai Bing on the shoulder. "I believe you. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels." Chapter 318, Recruitment Documents. At noon in Planet, due to the male and female teams in the realm of the fixed teammates, there were many 4th turn players who led 2nd and 3rd turn players to hack and slash, and there were also noobs who pitted their teammates. There were evenly matched battles between the 2 teams, and there were also noobs who punched and kicked each other. The masters of the Chinese server, who were originally the favorites to win the championship, didn't know whether it was because of the official targeting, or their own bad luck. Most of the fixed teammates they matched were low level and poorly understood players from other servers. Yi Jian's teammates were 2nd turn players from the Chinese server. He could still lead the team in the first 5 rounds, but he was disgusted to death when he encountered 2 4th turn opponents. His teammates could only cheer for him and eventually lost. Nang Jun's teammates were 3rd turn foreign server players. He originally thought he could play to the late stage, but in the 3rd round he directly encountered Long Kui's team and gave up directly. What a lunatic. He couldn't beat 2 4th turn players, not to mention that he led a 3rd turn rookie. What's more disgusting is that Long Kui's teammate is a 2nd turn player. As the 2 champions of the men and women's contest, Liang Ting and Zhao Mu were matched with fixed teammates who were directly downgraded to 2nd level foreign server players. Zhao Mu was still able to lead the team in the early stage, but after a few games, he encountered a player of equal strength and decisively admitted defeat. Being a wife-controlled person was one thing, but on the other hand, Yu's teammate was a 4th level professional Chinese server player. After seeing the king of freeloaders, the opponent directly asked Yu to beat him up, which was extremely disgusting. Liang Ting, the favorite to win the championship, had explosive luck in the first round. She came up and directly hit the opponent with a thunderbolt, and then rebounded, and lost 1/3 of her blood. Both sides were shocked. After Liang Ting had a hard time fighting with the opponent until her blood was low. She planned to use a healing to raise her blood volume and directly defeat the opponent, but she was rebounded again and killed. With both sides confused, they lost. It is estimated that the opponent did not know how he won. Liang Ting once again began to hate Liu Ermahao. Obviously, the audience in the live broadcast room was speechless. Sometimes, luck is also a kind of strength. Yeah, this event is a team competition after all. No matter how strong you are, there is nothing you can do if you encounter stupid teammates. The stupidest one seems to be the commander of the Chinese server. What kind of profession is she? Why is her skill mechanism so capricious? Damn it, I thought I was matched with a 4th level player from the Chinese server and I could win easily, but I lost in the second round. What the hell? Such a surprise? How many levels are you? 2 levels. Sure enough, double standard dogs are everywhere. Unlike the live broadcast of the event, the topics discussed on the official forum of Planet are more grand. What's going on? Armies all over the world are being recruited? I saw it too. Could it be that the third Blue Star War has begun? The most amazing thing is that the last item in the recruitment documents of various countries says that players who are at the 3rd level or above a planet do not need to participate in the recruitment. I see. Is this game so impressive? I envy the Chinese server. The recruitment in their country is not mandatory. Many countries are mandatory, except for some specific conditions. Basically everyone needs to accept the recruitment. No way. Really, my country is mandatory, except for being the only son in the family, having children and the elderly to take care of, having a legitimate job and other factors. Basically everyone has to apply for the recruitment. It's the same here. Fortunately, I have already reached the 3rd level of the game. My friends look at me with green eyes. Our country is even more amazing. For players who are at the 3rd level or above a planet, all family members are exempt from the recruitment. As a perennial single dog, my goddess even proposed to me. What's going on? Such a large-scale recruitment. Are aliens invading? You've read too many science fiction novels upstairs. Aliens? You might as well say that a prehistoric monster broke through the ice and caused a devastating blow to the blue planet. Because of the global conscription document, the Black and White Company was directly pushed into the global spotlight. Bai Bing's phone was bombarded with calls from 3 roommates. She simply told them in the 4-person group that she would have a private video conference in half an hour and asked them to find a place where no one was. Yang Yefei knew a little bit of the inside story because of his father's relationship. He sent a message to ask about Bai Bing's situation. Bai Bing didn't know how to answer, so she simply ignored it. Lin Lin called directly. After the call was connected, she heard that the family members gathered together on the other end of the phone, obviously waiting for Lin Lin's reply. Bai Bing didn't say it clearly, but just told the family to buy more supplies, go out less, and stay at home as much as possible. At the same time, he also told them not to make a fuss. He was in a meeting in the capital now, and a lot of information involved confidentiality that could not be disclosed. Lin Lin was obviously very worried about Bai Bing. Bai Bing once again emphasized that the family should pay attention to safety. After the holiday, they didn't need to go back to Yangcheng, nor did they need to come to the capital to find him. They just needed to take good care of the family in Binhai. Grandma took the phone. Although she didn't know why Global would issue such a conscription document, she also paid attention to the content behind the conscription document because Black and White Company was her grandson's company. She repeatedly told him to take good care of himself and not to worry about his family. No mistake. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar. After that, his father Bai Feng took the phone. Bai Bing apologized and said that he couldn't spend the Mid-Autumn Festival with his family this time. He asked his father to take good care of his family no matter what and not to worry about him. He once again told him to prepare a lot of things today and try not to go out in a short time. At the same time, he suggested that several aunts and sisters go to the new home to live together. Bai Feng told them that he would explain it to them. Fortunately, the new home that Bai Bing bought for his father was big enough for relatives to live together. Bai Feng knew that his son must have something wrong. Otherwise Global's conscription document would not have mentioned the game planet later. But because Bai Bing explained that it involved state secrets, Bai Feng, who was reformed in prison, knew the discipline of the country very well and did not ask any more questions. After hanging up the phone, Bai Bing called the roommates video chat. After the call was connected, the three of them were in Peng Cheng's office in the company. After learning that there was no one else, Bai Bing said directly, a wormhole will form near the moon tomorrow. Alien life may appear through the wormhole and invade the blue planet. This news has been approved by the leaders of the blue planet, so the authenticity can be guaranteed. This is why the global recruitment is being carried out. The three roommates were so surprised that they were speechless. Alien life invasion? Filming a movie? Exclamation mark. Huang Yiwei suddenly asked, even if there is an invasion by alien life, what does this have to do with our black and white company? Why is our company mentioned at the end of the global conscription documents? Our company is under great pressure from the global scrutiny now, and we don't know how to explain it internally. Bai Bing said, you will know why after tomorrow. I can't explain it now. You should be prepared. Official staff will enter our company tonight at the earliest and tomorrow morning at the latest. You will be responsible for the internal affairs of the company and they will be responsible for the external affairs. Peng Cheng knew the seriousness of the matter, interrupted Huang Yiwei's curiosity, and asked Bai Bing, where are you now? Bai Bing, in Yanjing. I just had a meeting with the officials. Peng Cheng, I see. Is there anything we can do? Bai Bing, for some time in the future, the three of you may need to stay in the company for food and lodging. Of course, you are not under house arrest. You can move freely, but I must have someone stay in the company to calm the situation. As the leader of the Black and White Company's external communications, Huang Yiwei immediately asked if there are other inquiries about our company regarding the conscription documents. How should we respond? Bai Bing thought for a moment and said directly, send an announcement saying that the Black and White Company has been temporarily taken over by the authorities. If they have any questions, let them ask the authorities. Chapter 319. The title of King of Freeloaders changes hands. Men's and women's team competition were announced at 5 p.m. Some players who had experienced the men's and women's fighting competition knew that they would be abused, even if they participated in the competition with their own strength, so they simply did not participate. Therefore, the number of players participating in the team competition on the 7th was only 2/3 of that on the 6th. The two sides in the finals were Long Kui and a 4th turn player from the European server against Fukai and a 4th turn player from the Chinese server. This European server player was led by Long Kui all the way to the finals. I was so proud in my heart. As expected, I was born to be the protagonist. These are all fate. Fukai's face fell when he saw that his teammate was Long Kui again. You beat me yesterday, and you come again today! Exclamation mark. Fighting against a late stage Shengming, you can tell with your toes that you can't beat him. Long Kui was a little shy when he saw that the opponent on the opposite side was an acquaintance, Brother Fukai. Fukai was speechless. Are you serious about being so polite? The audience in the live broadcast room laughed so hard. What a retribution. This bastard who owes money and refuses to pay it back should be taught a lesson. Fuck, this guy won at least tens of thousands of soul points yesterday and today, but he just won't pay back the money. You're waiting for Fukai to pay back? Then you might as well wait for your dad to tell you that he has menstrual disorders, which is impossible. I envy that guy in the European server. He can win the championship just by lying down all the way. Did you see Fukai's teammate in the Chinese server? His face is so dark. Normal. If I met Long Kui, I would probably just give up. Long Kui saw that big brother Fukai looked ugly and felt embarrassed to go through the beating he had yesterday and to experience it again today, so he was embarrassed to start first. The European server players were not in a hurry to see that Long Kui had no intention of taking the initiative. Anyway, it was still early, so it was okay to annoy the opponent for a while. The player from the European server said, "Oh, this game was so easy. I got here by lying down all the way. It turns out that there's nothing that can be done about the born European emperor." The player from the Chinese server glared at him. "You bastard, come out and fight me if you have the guts." The player from the European server replied disdainfully, even if you beat me in a duel, so what? Do you think you two can beat Long Kui alone? Fukai said to Long Kui with a gloomy face, Sister Long Kui, you beat me up yesterday. You're not going to attack my old bones today, are you? Long Kui said embarrassedly, Brother Fukai, you're not an old bone. You're very young. Fukai didn't know whether he should be happy or sad when he heard Long Kui's innocent words. He said I was young, and indeed I was a handsome guy, but I wasn't an old bone. There was no psychological pressure when Long Kui beat me up. Fuck it. Fukai's teammates saw that the other European server player was too arrogant and shouted to Long Kui, sister-in-law, Big Boss Jiangxing and I are brothers. You won't attack your own family. Long Kui laughed. Do you know Big Brother Jiangxing? Long Kui was at a loss when the other party called her sister-in-law. She was anxious and happy and had a very good impression of the opponent who said this. The Chinese server player nodded. Of course. We often drink together. Although he was bragging, it didn't stop Long Kui from believing it. Such a simple NPC, she wanted to surrender after being deceived by him. Long Kui looked entangled, and the Chinese server player smiled flatteringly. Sister-in-law, so, why did you participate in this competition? Long Kui answered honestly, of course it's to help Big Brother Jiangxing earn soul points. Big Brother Jiangxing said that in the human race, soul points are everything. As long as there are soul points, there is nothing that can't be done. If there are soul points, she won't have to work so hard every day. After listening to Long Kui's words, Fukai looked up at the sky. Why can't I meet such a wife? If Sister Ziyan treats me the same way, my child can even take her last name when he is born. The Chinese server player replied, that's very simple, sister-in-law. As long as you let us win, how about I trade you 10,000 soul points? Long Kui obviously had never encountered such a deal, which instantly shocked Long Kui's 3 views. Is it possible? But it seems to be a good deal. Even if I win the finals, I will only get 500 soul points. But if the opponent wins, even if I lose 1000 soul points, I can still earn 9000 soul points. The European server player looked at his opponent with disdain. Crazy. Can the title of the first place be compared with 10,000 soul points? Priceless. Okay. Question mark? How could Big Boss Long Kui agree to it? Long Kui. Okay. Keep your word. European server players, Fukai. The Chinese server player immediately smiled and said, don't worry, I swear on Fukai's 100-year celibacy. After I get out, I will immediately contact Giant Crossing to trade him 10,000 soul points. I really envy Giant Crossing. With a wife like you, what more can a husband ask for? Fukai, why did you swear in my name? Exclamation mark. He stared at his teammates with a bad look. Long Kui's face turned red because of the opponent's flattery. The audience in the live broadcast room was speechless. I'm really convinced. Why didn't I think of this trick at the beginning? Being able to argue and resolutely not fight. This is the upbringing of our Chinese. You barbarians don't understand. Protest. Our European server is finally about to win the championship. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one book, one bar. Such a blatant transaction. Are the dog officials sure they won't do anything about it? The dog officials probably don't have time now. Haven't you read the latest announcement on the official website? Now that the Black and White company has been temporarily taken over by the Chinese officials, who cares about these things? What's the use of protesting? Don't you know that planet has a high degree of freedom? It's more free here than America. The most heartbreaking thing at this time is Yi Jian, who is watching the game. It doesn't matter if he doesn't win the championship, and it doesn't matter if his girlfriend wins the championship. They are all family. However, now seeing that Long Kui actually agreed to admit defeat for 10,000 soul points, and even said that it was earned for me, what I meant at the beginning was that soul points are very useful in the game. I didn't ask you to do everything possible to get soul points. And I don't know the guy on the opposite side. We haven't drunk. Don't believe him. If Long Kui's social experience were put in the real world, she would probably be sold and help others count money. Yi Jian was annoyed and had no way to do anything. Now Long Kui is in an independent space and can't be contacted. He can only watch her admit defeat. The European players in the game space were dumbfounded. How could you do this? This is a naked black box operation. You are cheating. Do you have any moral bottom line? Fukai reacted immediately and flashed behind the 4th level player, grabbed his collar and threw him far away, and the European player disappeared in front of everyone. Long Kui looked happy and clicked to admit defeat, and then the announcement was refreshed directly. The men's and women's team competition is over, and the winning players are the Chinese server NPC Fukai and the Chinese server player who are so handsome. Just one game. Let all the planet players see Long Kui's innocence. They will not blame Long Kui for being greedy for money. They will only blame Long Kui's boyfriend. What kind of person does Long Kui look like that makes such a simple NPC so devoted to him and for him like this? He is really a gigolo. At this time, Zhao Mu was very happy. From now on, the title of Gigolo King has changed hands. He looked at Yi beside him with a flattering face. Honey, can you prepay me some soul points? I want to upgrade my ship. Yi was very angry when she saw her sister lose the game. When she heard Zhao Mu's words, she said angrily, what upgrade? Look at Long Kui. She is willing to lose a game for her partner. Look at you. If you want soul points, earn them yourself. I don't have any. Zhao Mu touched his bald head and muttered, how can I not have any? Didn't the Kra tribe just sell a batch of mounts to the exchange recently? They are so stingy. Yi's eyes suddenly turned cold. You are arrogant. Zhao Mu looked at Yi. You have changed. Chapter 320, Wormhole Generation. After the event ended, Planet released an announcement that evening. The event is over. The Mid-Autumn Festival event Moon Rush will start tomorrow. Half an hour later, Planet will be maintained from 1900 hours to 8 o'clock on the 8th. The update content is a version upgrade. Please stay tuned. After seeing the game announcement, all players were very excited. The long-awaited Planet 3.0 version is finally going to be updated. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be a war with the void and the abyss. I always thought that the battles in Planet were between servers and races, or between servers and servers. Now it is directly updated to start the battle between worlds. Such a large-scale game change directly detonated all players. There are only 2 topics discussed on the official website now. One is the exemption of Planet players from conscription, mentioned in the global conscription document, and the update of Planet 3.0 version. A large blood-red galactic battleship was standing motionless in the universe. The surrounding universe was at any time likely to collide with the debris of a collapsed planet and turn into powder after hitting the galactic battleship. Inside the blood-red battleship, a slim, silver-skinned, sexy, and beautiful woman was sitting motionless on a large chair, made up of countless skeletons, with her eyes closed, and not revealing a trace of life. A thin but very tall man in a white robe came over, looked at the arrogant woman with an expressionless face, and shouted, "Mother, the wormhole has been created." The woman slowly opened her eyes, and looked at the man. The man continued, "The human race is indeed in the universe on the other side of the wormhole, but the wormhole cannot withstand creatures that are too powerful." The woman's words were like a decree, and the echo kept echoing. "I know. The man. I have let the void creatures under my command step into the wormhole. It won't be long before they reach the human base camp." The woman seemed not to care about what the man said about the wormhole and the human race. Her face was slightly heavy, and she asked, "Shachika, your brother died. Will you blame mother?" Shachika did not have any emotional fluctuations. "Yes." The woman closed her eyes again, and a tear fell on her cheek. "Milano is the smartest of my children, but he chose Kyushu, and mother had no choice." Shachika looked at the woman with a paralyzed face. "Save this reason for your explanation to your second brother." After saying that, Shachika turned and left. After the woman saw Shachika disappear, her slightly tragic expression subsided, and she smiled slightly, saying to herself, "What a heartless child. As your mother, I really find it very interesting." After Shachika left, he appeared silently in the universe outside the battleship, looking at the huge psychedelic blue wormhole not far away, slowly raised his hand and pointed over. Tens of thousands of light spots suddenly appeared in the battleship and rushed towards the blue wormhole. Zachika said to himself with a slack expression, "Weak human race, I really look forward to how you will break the deadlock this time." In the Blue Star universe, near the moon, a circle of blue wormholes slowly formed. When the various departments on the Blue Star discovered this situation, they immediately transmitted the real-time data to the central conference hall. Almost all the elders in various fields of China sat in their seats in the conference hall and were on guard. Only Bai Bing was lying on the sofa next to him with his eyes closed. In order to implement the plan in his head, he had not slept for 2 nights, and now he could not bear it anymore. Except for Bai Bing, almost all the people in the conference room were middle-aged and elderly. Bai Bing was the youngest person besides Zhang Yi. No one was dissatisfied with the sleeping young man, because they knew that this young man was their trump card. With Bai Bing, they had hope of winning. When the 5-star light above the conference room flickered, everyone in the conference room fell silent. They knew that this light meant that their fantasy was shattered and a wormhole was formed near the moon. Bai Bing didn't dare to fall asleep. He could only pretend to doze in this atmosphere. When he didn't hear any sound in the conference room, Bai Bing opened his eyes in a daze, and what he saw was the 5-star light flickering above his head. The big screen in the conference room was already connected to the leaders of all parties. The old man said, "The wormhole has been formed. Within 10 hours at the latest, those alien life forms, the so-called void race, will reach the vicinity of the moon through the wormhole." The American side's eyes were slightly dark, and he said tiredly, "We have made all the arrangements, and all bases outside are ready to enter combat readiness at any time." The Russian side took a tough attitude. "I hope that this time, some organizations with ulterior motives will manage their own people well and not take advantage of the situation." All parties expressed their opinions. "I wonder if the developed countries will take the lead this time. After all, we have not reached the strength to fight against alien life forms that can cross the wormhole." "Agree. I agree too." Seeing the parties banding together, the old man seemed angry. "What time is it, and you are still scheming? Question mark? Developed countries as the pioneer? Then what is the point of inviting you to attend the meeting together? You might as well just say that you don't plan to join the war. Just watch from the sidelines. What time is it, and you are still scheming? Exclamation mark. The old man interrupted directly. "I'll say it for the last time. This is not a unilateral crisis, but the future of the entire blue planet." The American side looked coldly. "Agree. If some of you still plan to fish in troubled waters, I will consider expelling them from this meeting." All parties kept silent, secretly angry but not daring to speak out. The old man looked at Bai Bing, who was trying to cheer up with a cold face in the distance, and asked with his eyes. Bai Bing nodded in response. The old man said, "Everyone, you can send out the announcement." After hearing this, everyone in the conference hall stood up. Some made phone calls, some proofread documents, and some kept uploading information files on the summit online. In the corner of the conference hall, the old man said to the relevant departments, "I believe that this announcement will shock the entire China. It is very likely that negative events or even worse situations will occur. You must stabilize all aspects this time." The old man frowned. China is too vast, and it is extremely difficult to stabilize it completely. In addition, the current pressure on the front line is huge, which is even more difficult. But the imprint of serving the people engraved in his bones still made the old man nod his head in agreement. Bai Bing looked at the elderly people with sad faces, but he felt comforted in his heart. This group of lovely elderly elders are still fighting side by side with him. What is there to be afraid of? According to the previous plan, more than 20 institutions are operating at the same time. The powerful execution ability has begun to sound, and the sleeping Eastern Dragon has opened its eyes. Bai Bing stood by the window with a solemn expression, and looked at the sky, hoping that this time, Blue Star is worry-free. Chapter 321, Game After version 3.0. 7th, countries around the world issued an announcement at the same time. Since the global conscription action, many people have been surprised and questioned this action, so they are extremely concerned about the news released on their own country's official website. However, when people around the world saw this global announcement, some were shocked, Some were unbelievable, and some even thought it was a joke. Negative emotions such as panic, uneasiness, anxiety, and tension appeared on the faces of every citizen of Blue Star. How is it possible? This is definitely not a joke. So the previous global conscription was due to the arrival of alien life. The top leaders of the country knew about this news a long time ago. They actually kept it from us. Why did they keep it from us? We have the right to know. Why is it so sudden? Is there going to be a war? Go to the supermarket and buy all the food. If you are slow, there will be nothing to eat. Yes, the announcement said that people should stay at home as much as possible and ensure that there is enough food as soon as possible. After the announcement, riots and serious cases of varying degrees occurred frequently in various countries. China was able to control the situation because the people had a high degree of trust in the country, but most countries found it difficult to contain the riots, and the crime rate increased significantly. However, even so, these countries no longer had more energy and manpower to focus on the people. The war was imminent. At this time, if they were distracted by the people who were controlled by negative emotions, it would only drag the soldiers of the military into the water. It should be known that negative emotions are like viruses and are contagious. Bai Bing stood in the conference hall, holding the handrail tightly, looking at the haggard faces of the leaders around him. At this time, Bai Bing felt that he was the redundant one in this conference hall. At this time, an official from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs came to Bai Bing in a hurry and said, after 12 o'clock, all residence networks will be shut down worldwide. At that time, it may be. Bai Bing nodded tiredly. It's okay, I have a way to solve it. Thank you for your hard work, leader. The official from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had no time to be polite. After receiving Bai Bing's reply, he left directly. He still had a lot of things to do, and there were endless matters that needed to be decided by himself before they could be implemented. Bai Bing had anticipated the network problem. Previously, players needed an internet connection to log into Planet. Bai told Bai Bing that it was not necessary. The essence of the players in the game was actually their souls. The souls did not need the internet to go to the world of the living. It was just a cover at the beginning. Bai said, Bai Bing, I suggest you take a rest first. There is no need to waste experience here. After tomorrow, I'm afraid you will not have more rest time. You will not be able to bear it by then. No matter how courageous Blue Star is, it will be useless. Bai Bing listened to Bai's advice, left the conference hall, and walked out of the building, returned to the dormitory building next door, did not think about washing, and lay down and fell asleep. The current time was 11 o'clock in the evening. When Bai Bing opened his eyes, he found that it was already dawn. He looked at the time on his phone, and it was almost noon. He had slept for so long. Bai said at this time, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I have announced the previously drafted game announcement in Planet. Bai Bing's spirit was restored, and he asked Bai, how long will it take for the void to arrive? Bai, within an hour. Bai Bing, what is the attitude of the players in the game? Bai, it's unbelievable. They can't accept that the alien life invading Blue Star comes from the void creatures in Planet. Bai Bing got up, picked up his coat, and went out to the conference room, and said to Bai, there is no time for them to accept it. Let's proceed as planned. In Planet, hundreds of millions of players around the world logged into the game. As soon as they saw the announcement, our country has obviously shut down the internet. Why can we still log into Planet? It's not your country, but countries around the world have shut down their residence networks. It turns out that Planet is not a game. I'm so fucking naive. Where in the world can there be such a realistic game? This Chinese company has long known that the void will invade Blue Star, but how could they create such a real world? It turns out that this is the so-called 3.0 version. It turns out that the void is not invading the world of creatures, but our Blue Star. The announcement said that a wormhole from the living world to the Blue Star will be generated in a few hours. Does this mean that we have to fight the void creatures on the Blue Star? I thought I was playing a game, but I didn't expect that I was actually defending my country. I should have resigned and upgraded at the beginning, so that my level would not be so low now. Planet has suspended the registration of new users. players in the living world are proud that they can become planet players to defend their country. The commanders of the 7 servers, Liang Ting of the Chinese server, Beji William of the European server, Ichiro Nimoto of the Japanese server, Cui Yingjing of the Korean server, Ruan Huang of the Southeast Asian server, Yelasu Jelov of the Russian server, and Ken and Julie of the American server, all received a private notice sent to them by Haley Bay. The content of the notice was to make them ready, and in a short time, national personnel would escort them to the capital of China on a special plane. No mistakes. 1 song, 1 post, 1 content, 1 content, 1619, 1 book, 1 bar, 1 look. This decision was proposed by Bai Bing, and the 7 heads of state all agreed. The fact that the people of their country were the commanders of one of the 7 servers in the living world made them very proud. This was an opportunity to increase their voice in this crisis. Liang Ting was stunned for a while after learning about this private notice in the living world, and then decisively chose to log off. Because of the national announcement, Liang Ting's grandfather, father, mother, and brother were all at home. Everyone looked worried and uneasy. This atmosphere among the people was considered positive. Facing the attack of the void race, not everyone had this self-pressure resistance. Liang Ting informed everyone of the news she had received. Liang Ting's brother Liang Xin was shocked. So planet is not a game, but a real world? The mother hurriedly asked, did they tell you what you were going to do in the capital? You were not going to go to the front line, were you? The father's face was gloomy, but revealed surprise and uneasiness. Since Xiaoting is one of the 7 commanders, you should naturally be responsible for the safety of Blue Star. No matter what you do, you must be responsible for China. For Blue Star. Liang Ting nodded. I know, father, don't worry. According to the rules of the living world, as long as I don't die, even if the character dies in the fight, I will be resurrected in an hour. Liang Ting's grandfather said at this time, Tinga, you are the pride of our Liang family. Grandpa is waiting for you at home. You must come back safely. Looking at the reluctant but firm eyes of her family, Liang Ting nodded. Don't worry, I'm the human commander of our China. I know what to do. At this time, the doorbell rang. Liang Ting's mother opened the door and saw 2 men in black clothes with serious faces standing at the door. One of them asked, hello, ma'am. We are staff members of the Central China, and here are our ID cards. Is Commander Liang Ting here? Liang Ting stepped forward. Yes, I am. The 2 staff members saluted. Commander Liang Ting, we have been ordered to escort you to the capital. Liang Ting nodded, and her mother covered her mouth and forced herself to hold back her tears. Liang Ting looked back at her mother and held her mother's hand. Mom, don't worry, you wait for me at home. Your daughter is Mulan now, commanding thousands of troops to defend the country. The mother held Liang Ting's hands tightly and smiled with tears in her eyes. Mom is proud of you. Don't worry, Mom will wait for you to come back home. Looking at her relatives at home, Liang Ting smiled at them, then turned around and walked out of the house. Chapter 322, 7th Servant Commander arrives. According to the Huaxia military network, all war zones in China have entered a first-level combat state. A ban has been issued in the waters surrounding China, and all flights in the country have been suspended. CNN said that this crisis concerns the entire Blue Star, and the United States does not rule out the use of nuclear weapons. The United Nations joint announcement stated that Blue Star has the confidence and strength to deal with this crisis, and called on the people of Blue Star not to panic, and not to halt or participate in riots. The Russian newspaper issued a notice today that during the Blue Star crisis, the world is united against the outside world. All terrorist activities in Russia during this period will be directly and strongly dealt with by Russia at all costs. Huaxia 20th Network reported that the parent company of China's Planet has summoned 7 servers in the world of living beings to command, and will arrive in the capital of China this afternoon. Because the civilian network was disconnected, people around the world could only obtain first-hand information about the Blue Star crisis through television reports. There are nearly 300 million Planet players around the world. When they learned that Planet was not a game, but another real world, all the people of Blue Star thought it was a joke played by the United Nations because of the panic atmosphere before the Blue Star crisis. However, when the government of the country issued a confirmation announcement and the players of their own planet admitted it, knowing that this huge group of planet players were the key combat force in this crisis, people all over the world remembered this Chinese company and game. Even alien life invaded the blue planet through wormholes. What else could not be accepted? Those who had planet players at home regarded it as a pride, while those who did not have players at home contacted their relatives, or asked the surrounding neighbors, eager to get shelter through this group of family and friends in another world. In an instant, the identity of a player became a hot commodity. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 7 server commanders came to another war room next to the Capital Conference Hall. When the 7 saw their colleagues in reality, they didn't know what to say. If they met under normal circumstances, they would definitely ridicule each other, but in this crisis atmosphere, everyone really didn't want to focus on each other. When the 7 people were confused, Bai Bing walked into the conference room and looked at the commanders from different countries. Bai Bing introduced himself. Everyone, time is tight. I will not exchange pleasantries. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bai Bing, the boss of Black and White. You should know me. The 7 people did not expect that the young man in front of them was a legendary figure who created Planet. Many players knew the name of the legal representative of Black and White Company, but no one knew what Bai Bing looked like. Bai Bing said straight to the point. In 1 hour, the wormhole leading to the blue star in the living world will be formed. At that time, all you need to do is to command the players in this server to teleport to the blue star through the wormhole to resist the void. Seeing that everyone was at a loss, Bai Bing knocked on the table to wake them up. This is the first time that you are asked to command in this way. The pressure will be very high. You must know that this battle against the void is not like the one in Planet. Every mistake you make in command may cause the death of countless soldiers and civilians. I will not tell you that. If you want to quit, just mention it now, because in this crisis, no one can quit, including you. Liang Ting couldn't help raising her hand. Bai Bing saw that Liang Xin's sister was the first one to force herself to calm down, and her eyes showed appreciation. You say. Liang Ting organized her words, took a deep breath and asked, we need to know the number of the other side, the realm, and the location of the battle. The other commanders looked at Bai Bing with goosebumps from time to time, waiting for Bai Bing's answer. They also had to know this question. Bai Bing, there are not many void creatures, less than 100,000, and their realm is not high, only the divine realm. But the location, where the battle takes place, I'm sorry, can only be on Blue Star. Ken and Julie immediately asked, can't it be in the universe? Bai Bing shook his head. You have to know that the strongest players in Planet are only at the peak of the divine realm. The divine realm does not have the strength to fight in the universe, and the armed forces in Blue Star do not have such high technology, so it can only be on Blue Star. The 7 people looked at each other, and they were extremely nervous. If they fought in Blue Star, there was a great possibility of accidental injuries. Fortunately, the number of the opponents was not large, less than 100,000, and the players in the world of creatures were easy to defeat. Bai Bing broke the 7 people's fantasy in the next second. The reason why the number and realm of the void invasion this time are not high is that when the wormhole was first formed, it could not withstand creatures with 2 strong realms. But as time goes by, the wormhole will become more and more solid, whether it is the wormhole of the void or the wormhole of the living world. So I don't know what realm the void creatures that invade through the wormhole next time will be. You must be mentally prepared. Originally thought that this time the void invasion was only once, but I didn't expect there would be more later. But thinking back, it was right. The 2 dragon emperors Brakler and Milano that I met before had their own subordinate void races, and they were also in the realm of gods. Suddenly realizing something, the Russian server commander Yelizagrov used his hand to stabilize the translator beside his ear and asked, you mean the void creatures that appear later will have a dragon emperor? Bai Bing looked at Yelizagrov in silence. Seeing that Bai Bing didn't say anything, the 7 people took a breath of cold air. The lowest strength of the Dragon Emperor is the peak of Shengming, and the highest strength of the player is only the peak of the god. There are 2 major realms in between. How can we fight? Question mark. Bai Bing couldn't let the 7 people explode, so he could only perfunctorily say, this is not a problem you should consider. You just need to command the human race in the living world and deal with every invasion of the void. Seeing that the 7 people were still silent, Bai Bing gave them a dose of heart. Considering the gap in the strength of the human race in the living world, I will cancel the teleportation barrier. The human race in all servers can be teleported to the main city of other servers at will, and the universal 4-turn profession can be transferred to all servers. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one 6, one 9, one book, one bar. This is indeed very good news for aces outside the Chinese server, especially the American and Russian servers. Now even if the 2 servers bring up the level through allies, the highest realm is only the 3rd turn. Suffering from the lack of a 4th turn job transfer path, Bai Bing has directly broken the teleportation barrier, and the strength of his own server can soar by a large margin. Bai Bing continued to say a few things that need to be paid attention to, and then left the war room. He knew that the 7 people needed time to digest what he said, and he also had to leave enough space for the 7 people to discuss strategies. Although they were just players, Bai Bing believed in them. At this time, the wormhole near the moon has begun to emit bursts of blue light. Because of the crisis on Blue Planet, the leaders of the major countries on Blue Planet directly shared satellite and other data in order to eliminate mutual suspicion. The leaders of various countries saw the situation near the moon through the satellite images and couldn't help but clench their fists. Bai Bing entered the conference room at this time and saw the wormhole near the moon on the screen at the first time. It was so fast that the wormhole in the living world had not been completely generated yet. The boss saw Bai Bing stand up and stared at him. Bai Bing shook his head and the old man sat down again. Zhang Yi asked Bai Bing at this time, "What are your plans? Tell me." Bai Bing told all his thoughts. There was nothing to hide at this time. "I also built a wormhole in the living world, but it will take nearly an hour to generate. I plan to let the human race in the living world reach Blue Star through the wormhole to resist. But I didn't expect the wormhole in the void to be generated so quickly." The leaders in the conference hall were stunned after hearing Bai Bing's words. Although they had guessed the content of the announcement issued by Bai Bing's suggestion before, when Bai Bing said it directly, everyone felt a little more confident in their hearts and no longer felt so empty. The boss's eyes gradually became sharp. 1 hour. The heads of state of various countries also heard what Bai Bing said through the online meeting. Chapter 323, Poison Dragon. For 5 minutes after Bai Bing left, none of the 7 spoke. Liang Ting couldn't help but said, "You are all commanders of the human race. Don't use tricks in this crisis." Liang Ting's words undoubtedly made the other 6 people laugh. All the activities in Planet before would always trip up the players of the Chinese server. The Chinese commander in front of them really had a good mentality. No wonder the players of the Chinese server listened to her so much. Liang Ting said, "Please introduce yourselves. My name is Liang Ting, and I'm the commander of the Chinese server. BG William, the commander of the European server. Ichiro Nimoto, the commander of the Japanese server. Choi Young Kang, the commander of the Korean server. Nguyen Huang, the commander of the Southeast Asian server. Yelasu Grove, the commander of the Russian server. Ken Anjali, the commander of the American server." Liang Ting said, "This time, there are less than 100,000 creatures in the void in the divine realm. What do you think?" Ken Anjali, "We in the American server can fight, but it's unnecessary to waste time to besiege them. The highest level of our server is only the 3rd level. The Russian server seconded. Our server is the same." Ichiro Nimoto and Choi Young Kang did not speak either. Although their server had 4th level players, the number was not large. Liang Ting looked at BG William. "Brother, what do you mean by the European server? And why do you talk so little?" BG William's cheeks were sweating. If it was in the game, it didn't matter. He could just hit hard, but now that everyone was face to face in reality, he could only be submissive. "I'm a social phobic." "Well, I'll listen to you." The 6 people looked at the famous European server commander in surprise. "What's wrong with you? Why are you talking so empty?" Beggar William looked at the eyes around him and finally said embarrassedly, "Well, I'm actually a social phobic, so you guys can just discuss it. I'll listen to you." 6 people. Liang Ting found it incredible that the European server commander who was decisive and strategic in the world of living things was actually a social phobic. It turned out that online trolls had a temperament that others could not predict in real life. My idea is that there are less than 100,000 creatures in the void this time. We don't need to get all 7 servers involved. Let the European server handle it, and you 5 servers cancel all unnecessary activities and focus on upgrading the players' levels. CUI Yingjing asked, what about your Chinese server? Liang Ting said, the Chinese server will open all dungeons, share dungeon strategies, and help low-level players on your 5 servers upgrade. And I will call on the Chinese server to share all inheritances. Even if it is inheritance in the exchange, we will sell it at the lowest price possible or even for free. I think it's feasible. Okay, I'll listen to you. Ken and Julie looked at Beg William. Is there any problem with your European server? Beg William shook his head. No problem. The Russian server commander said, we don't know where the void creatures will appear on Blue Star this time, so you have to keep an eye on it. European server commander. Liang Ting nodded. Yes, the 6 of us will log into the game immediately, and you need to organize your European server players while paying attention to every move of the void. Ichiro Nimoto had not spoken before, but suddenly said, have you forgotten that there is also a Dragon Emperor in the world of living beings? If the Dragon Emperor in the world of living beings suddenly disrupts the situation, we will be in a passive position. Liang Ting thought for a while and then said, after I go online, I will ask the great powers of the Chinese server to discuss. After the transmission barrier is opened, any disturbance in each server can be transmitted to Jiu Xiangsandu to inform our Chinese server. Thank you for your hard work. Go online, everyone. Do your best. Nice to meet you. The blue wormhole near the moon was completely generated under the surveillance of the satellite image. Against the backdrop of the endless universe, the tiny void creatures appeared in front of the blue wormhole. At this time, due to the rotation law of the blue planet, the land of America happened to be located in the center of the wormhole. Hundreds of thousands of void creatures rushed to the blue planet. As they were in the realm of gods, their flight time in the universe was greatly reduced, so they could only invade the blue planet as soon as possible. The 3rd Dragon Emperor Shachika on the other side of the wormhole slowly opened his eyes and said to himself, we are here. What a beautiful planet. What a pity. Take a look. Each Dragon Emperor has a large number of void evil dragons under his command. The void evil dragons that took the lead this time are the poison dragons, one of the 3 evil dragons under Shachika. They have low defense and low damage, but they have one characteristic, which is that they will emit a large area of poisonous gas after death. This kind of poisonous gas has a certain lethality to the god realm, not to mention the group of ants on the human race's main planet. The world's leaders saw through the satellite screen that this group of alien life had chosen the direction of America as their target, and most of them secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The President of the United States had a gloomy face and left the meeting screen to make combat steps. In 5 minutes, hundreds of American fighter jets took off. The speed of the void poison dragon creatures is not comparable to the Blue Star technology. In less than half an hour, they have already rushed into the atmosphere. The poison dragon feels the hot flames burning on its body, and then it enters the Blue Star. The American department discovered through the ultra-high lens that this group of so-called alien life forms are as huge as fighter planes, with dark green scales all over their bodies, ugly heads, and broken wings. It instantly made the heads of various countries worried. It was easy to deal with them. Seeing a monster with such a strong oppression for the first time, many people in the conference hall stood up unconsciously and stared at the screen. When the poison dragon descended to a certain height, the American fighter plane suddenly appeared in the air. Hundreds of missiles were launched at the same time, and then the fighter plane fired a yellow light projectile at the poison dragon. The poison dragon felt extremely painful when it was attacked by a human fighter plane for the first time. Although the poison dragon's strength is in the spirit realm, its defense is much lower than that of ordinary spirit realm creatures. The 3rd Dragon Emperor Shachika took a fancy to the characteristic that these evil dragons would burst into poison gas after death and recruited them. The poisonous dragons were extremely angry when they felt the severe pain. Without any command, they stopped diving and turned to attack the fighter planes. The speed of the god realm made the fighter pilots have no time to react, and the fuselage of the fighter plane was cut by the poisonous dragons. In an instant, dozens of fighter planes exploded, and only a few pilots reacted and pulled the safety and ejected. Hundreds of poisonous dragons were not dead yet, and dense poisonous dragons swooped down from the sky again. The heads of various countries saw this desperate scene. Some female officials in the conference hall had already covered their mouths with tears. It was too strong. Is this really something that Blue Star can resist? Many people slumped in their chairs with limp bodies, looking at the large central screen with empty eyes. The President of the United States immediately issued an order to retreat. Although this order was decisive, it was still too late. The hundreds of poisonous dragons that swooped down first had already torn all the fighter planes to pieces. The speed of the God realm was not comparable to the current technology of mankind. The President of the United States looked at the feedback of the driver's vital signs on the screen. At this time, it was all red, which meant that everyone was killed. Even the driver who had just pulled the safety and ejected could not escape the fate of death. The President of the United States sat down helplessly, his eyes dull. There were only a few hundred monsters that could not be eliminated, and there were nearly 100,000 monsters densely packed behind. Can America withstand it? Chapter 324, Shocking Battle Damage. Although the civilian network in Blue Star was cut off by various countries, the TV can still be watched. Several American media giants are using high-definition cameras on the ground to shoot everything in the sky. People all over the world are watching the thrilling scene through this broadcast. Although they cannot clearly see the battle situation, the roars and explosions of unknown creatures from the sky are enough to make all the people of Blue Star worried. Although we don't know the battle situation in the sky, we can feel through the sound that the alien life that invaded Blue Star this time is obviously not well intentioned. We believe that the defense force of the United States can immediately kill this group of malicious. Wait a minute, I received news from the front line that hundreds of American fighter planes are fighting against alien life. The group of kings are destroyed. The female reporter facing the camera on the TV screen showed an incredible expression, and all the people of Blue Star who watched this live broadcast were shocked. Hundreds of fighter planes were wiped out. This is equivalent to a slap in the face of America, and it also makes people around the world more panicked. The CEO slammed the table and shouted at the President of the United States, "What are you doing? Why are there media reports? And why did you tell them about the battle? Do you know that this will cause panic to everyone on Blue Star?" The President of the United States obviously did not expect that the media would know the situation at the first time, but now he has no energy to care about it. He can only settle the score later. There must be officials involved in the American high-level officials, otherwise the media would not have received first-hand intelligence. People all over the world stared at the live broadcast on TV, and many people have revealed desperate looks. Even patients and prisoners in hospitals and prisons have experienced the fear and unwillingness in their hearts. Within a minute after all the fighter planes were destroyed, the first batch of hundreds of poisonous dragon creatures that arrived on Blue Star had landed on the surface, and the roaring shocked the minds of all the American troops around. The general gritted his teeth to stabilize his spirit and roared to order all weapons to fire. All the artillery fire on the nearby hills, on the ground, on the back seats of vehicles, etc., bombarded at the same time, attacking the area where hundreds of poisonous dragon creatures were located indiscriminately. In order to suppress the life of the poisonous dragon creatures, artillery fire was fired round after round, as if it was free. Compared with the sky, the picture on the ground was clearer and more thrilling. Through the live broadcast of the media, the people of Blue Star also saw the appearance of these alien life forms for the first time. Such a huge, ugly, and terrifying green monster. Without the official explanation, it was known that there was no possibility of any negotiation. Hundreds of poisonous dragons were bombarded by artillery fire. None of them were intact. Dozens of them had been killed, and the bodies began to emit green poisonous mist that spread around. After seeing this situation, Bai Bing rushed forward and grabbed the microphone and shouted to the President of the United States, "Let the soldiers on the front line leave immediately. Once these poisonous mists come into contact with them, they will instantly die." The President of the United States also realized that these poisonous mists were not simple. When he heard Bai Bing's call, he immediately notified the generals in the front. The person in charge of this war was a general with rich combat experience in the United States. Before the President of the United States informed him, he had already issued an order for all personnel to retreat. All the American soldiers ran back instantly. The speed of the poisonous fog was not fast, and the soldiers had enough time to leave the area. However, it was also because of the soldiers' evacuation that most of the artillery fire stopped bombing, because no one was operating it. The poisonous dragon creatures that were able to catch their breath instantly rushed out and attacked all the moving creatures they could see. Because they had been bombarded by artillery fire, the seriously injured poisonous dragons posed a great threat to the soldiers, but they were seriously injured and could not resist the frontal shooting of the soldiers. The volleys of hundreds of thousands of soldiers made more and more poisonous dragons fall to the ground. Just when the soldiers were in high spirits and the people of Blue Star who were watching the live broadcast felt that the alien life was not invincible, the poisonous gas of the poisonous dragons had already quietly touched the soldiers' bodies. In just a few seconds, a large number of soldiers convulsed and fell to the ground and died, instantly disrupting the soldiers' formation. The general in front of the United States was anxious and shouted to the adjutant behind him, "Launch all the Tomahawk missiles." Then he shouted into the microphone, "All soldiers evacuate immediately. Don't touch the poisonous fog." The panicked soldiers knew that they couldn't touch the terrifying poisonous fog without the general's words, but because the poisonous dragon had already inserted into the formation of each team, the soldiers really couldn't leave for a while without killing the poisonous dragon. The people of Blue Star in front of the TV saw the death of soldiers in large numbers, and their hearts numbed. Hundreds of thousands of human lives could only be exchanged for a monster. This kind of war loss was simply hopeless, not to mention that the entire ground was filled with green poisonous fog. If this continued, even if all these monsters were killed, hundreds of thousands of soldiers would be wiped out. At this time, even the reporters reporting the battle situation didn't know how to speak in front of the camera, leaving only stunned and at a loss, with the same terrified expression on their faces as the people of Blue Star around the world. Bai Bing didn't know what to think. He was surprised to see that human technology could kill the creatures of the void, but he was trembling with hatred when he saw the huge cost of casualties. At this time, less than half of the hundreds of thousands of American soldiers were alive. Although most of the poisonous dragons had been killed by missiles, the poisonous fog on the field had formed an encirclement, encircling the entire landscape and trapping the soldiers in the poisonous fog. The soldiers who had seen their fate didn't know how to survive. There was no way to go up to the sky or down to the earth. The only way left was to wait to be touched by the poisonous fog and die within a few seconds. Some soldiers sighed and closed their eyes and cried. Some soldiers angrily picked up guns and shot at the corpse of the poisonous dragon in the distance. And some soldiers took out paper and pen to write their wills. No mistakes in one song, one post, one content, one six, one book, one bar. The generals in front looked at the desperate soldiers and didn't know what to say. They were trembling with hatred, and the hideous expression on their faces showed helplessness. None of the heads of state said a word. If this group of monsters invaded their country, they might not be able to do better than America. The people of Blue Star in front of the TV were praying silently, praying that the gods they believed in could save these desperate warriors, and praying that, if this was a dream, then they would wake up quickly. What was even more desperate was that hundreds of poisonous dragon creatures were only a small part of this void invasion. At this time, an extremely oppressive roar came from the sky. All the remaining void poisonous dragon creatures were swooping down. The soldiers on the ground could already see the dense black spots appearing in the sky. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers used half of the losses to kill only hundreds of monsters. Now there are tens of thousands of monsters in the sky. The desperate soldiers were powerless to put down their weapons and sat on the ground staring blankly at the sky. Just when the soldiers, the people of Blue Star in front of the TV, and the heads of state were in despair, Bai Bing suddenly felt something and happily dodged the microphone and shouted to the President of the United States, "Let the soldiers protect themselves. Everyone find shelter." When the heads of state were puzzled, a large circle of blue light suddenly appeared above the soldiers' heads. Under the astonished gaze of the people around the world, figures emerged from the blue light circle. Bai Bing's tense expression finally relaxed at this time, and he said to all the leaders in the microphone, "The wormhole in the world of living things has been generated." Chapter 325. European server players arrive. These people are the human race in the living world? Medifang asked with a trembling voice. Bai Bing, no, these are the humans from our blue star. BG William led 500,000 4th level players from the European server through the wormhole in the living world to the blue star battlefield. This time, BG William carefully considered and chose the number of 500,000 because he wanted to leave enough high level players in the living world to help other players upgrade. Although the battlefield has changed from the living world to the blue star, because the enemy is the void, there are still experience, soul points, and honor points. 500,000 4th level players are enough. It would be uneconomical to have more or more. Looking at the blood flowing like a river, the strong smell of gunpowder, the poisonous fog, and the desperate atmosphere around him, BG William was trembling with anger, and all the European server players who arrived at the blue star also showed a gloomy look. In just such a short time, so many people have been sacrificed. These are all the people of our blue star. You fucking void. I will make sure these voids never come back. Void in the sky, bury our fallen heroes with you. Although BG William, as the commander of the European server, was also angry, he did not forget his duty and ordered in the campaign channel, clear all the poisonous fog around and help the soldiers leave here. The rest of you, go up and kill these bastards. Combo skill, Ape Roar. Combo skill, Illumination. The Howling Ape professional player uses Ape Roar to disperse the poisonous fog around, and the Prison Sky professional player uses Illumination to shine a warm sun from the sky to restore the spirits and injuries of the soldiers. Tens of thousands of players summoned their own mounts beside the warriors. Under the warriors' dazed gaze, the players picked up the warriors and placed them on the mounts, saying to them, "Don't be afraid, leave it to us next. Go back and heal your wounds. Thank you for holding them back. You are all heroes, don't worry, I will avenge my colleagues." After the poisonous dragons arrived on the surface, without the need for BG William to give orders, all the front row players flew up and rushed towards the enemy at the same time, directly engaging in hand-to-hand combat with the poisonous dragons, completely exchanging their lives for their lives. The players who had originally participated in the battle happily in the game were now like demons. Two melee professions grabbed the wings of the poisonous dragon and tore them out, attacked the poisonous dragon's neck and eyes without any bottom line, and took the poisonous dragon's claws to exchange injuries for injuries, and poured out all their mana to kill the poisonous dragons one by one. All the people of Blue Star saw the players kill monsters one after another in such a heroic, powerful, and overwhelming manner through the live broadcast screen, and spontaneously stood up to cheer, applaud, hug, and cry. The people who had been suppressed by the atmosphere of despair roared loudly to vent their inner turbidity and release their fear. We still have humans in the world of living beings on our blue star. Great job to the Americans. Great job to the soldiers. Great job to the world of living beings. Great job to Blue Star. The monsters that had made the people of Blue Star despair before were now being slaughtered by European players, and the clear sky was covered by green poisonous fog. Combo skill, Rain. The professional player Yu Yao directly used the combo skill to forcibly change the weather, to wash away the poisonous fog in the sky, and could not let the poisonous fog spread out. The American generals who were commanding the front walked out of their headquarters and watched the familiar but non-existent beasts on Blue Star approaching with the soldiers on their backs in the distance, and asked the soldiers near the headquarters to be alert with guns. The mounts gradually slowed down as they approached the headquarters. The soldiers on the front line landed and touched the mounts, carrying them with envy. How great it would be if they also had such a spiritual mount. After the soldiers returned to the headquarters, the mounts gradually turned into light spots and dissipated. In the conference room, the old man said to Bai Bing, "How long can these people stay on Blue Star?" Bai Bing replied, "Under normal circumstances, they should be able to stay forever, but their bodies are still people from Blue Star, so when they go offline, they will naturally return to the world of living beings. But don't worry, I will always maintain the wormhole in the world of living beings. After hearing Bai Bing's answer, the leaders breathed a sigh of relief and asked the questions they were most concerned about. There are nearly 300 million players in Planet. Does that mean that we have 300 million people with such combat power on Blue Star? Where are these warriors from? Can we deploy them? We should keep the bodies of these poisonous dragons for a search. I believe they are very valuable and can find the weaknesses of these alien lives. This is our own combat power on Blue Star. I think we should have a unified command. Bai Bing was very disappointed with most of the leaders. They avoided them one by one during the crisis, and now they came up to grab the benefits one by one. When they saw the benefits, Bai Bing looked at the old man, who nodded and indicated that Bai Bing should make his own decision. No mistakes. One song, one post, one content, one book, one bar, one six, one book, one bar, one look. Bai Bing slowly said, everyone, let me make one thing clear. As I just said, the human race that arrived in the living world is the people of Blue Star. Now I just used a special method to make them come in the form of souls. If you plan to divide this group of people now, then I advise you not to have wild ideas. There are 7 servers of the human race in the living world, and the human race of the 7 servers is under the command of the command post of each server. This is the bottom line. Secondly, you can't take away the corpse of the poisonous dragon. This group of void creatures is not the product of Blue Star. Even if the toxicity or threat brought by death is very dangerous, whether it is now or in the future, when the void creatures die, I will let the wormhole of the living world suck them away. Finally, don't have too much delusion. Although the human race in the living world is close to 300 million, most of them are not strong. For the time being, only China and Europe have such strong human races, and the ones who just arrived at Blue Star to fight with the poisonous dragon are a small part of the European server. All the other human races are in the living world to help other weak human races improve their strength. Everyone, let me remind you that the world of living beings was created by me. I will fight with Blue Star to resist the enemy, but in the process, if anyone intends to destroy unity and split people's hearts, then I will abandon him. Although Bai Bing's words were very heavy, he knew that he could not really abandon someone. After all, the people were innocent. After hearing Bai Bing's words, all parties were silent and didn't know what they were thinking. The old man looked at Bai Bing, who had already revealed the momentum of a superior. Fortunately, this person was in China, which reduced a lot of trouble. Looking at the silent leaders, the old man said, everyone, what Bai Bing said is the attitude of our China, and we will support him to the best of our ability. This battle proves that Blue Star is not my prey, and the void is not invincible, but there is a premise, that is, all the personnel in Blue Star are united. You now know that any single organization does not have the strength to face the void, and we must work together. After speaking, he paused for a while. Now that China has Bai Bing, it must take advantage of the situation to get the absolute right to speak. I suggest that we open the civilian network. Blocking it will only cause greater panic. People need ways to vent their emotions. Moreover, since the human race from the living world is here for this battle, we can use this opportunity to spread the word and let the people of Blue Star know that Blue Star can defeat the void. It is capable of resisting all foreign enemies. At this time, the European server players who had slaughtered all the poisonous dragons were forcibly teleported back to the living world by Bai Bing, or more accurately, by Henry Bai. Although the wormhole was generated, it requires a large amount of soul value to maintain it. The teleportation of each player also requires soul value, so Bai Bing cannot let them stay on Blue Star like this. When the void attacks again, they can teleport again, which can relieve a large part of the soul value pressure. Watching the people from the living world on the battlefield gradually turn into light spots and the blue wormhole disappear, the leaders also saw clearly that they had no say in the living world. The US suddenly asked, the next time those void monsters invade, will they still be in our US territory? Bai Bing shook his head. No, the location they arrive at is random, depending on the law of the rotation of the blue planet at that time. This time the US is just in the center of the void when it comes out of the wormhole. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.